Well, hello.
Hello. Hi,
Well, hello,
kiddies.
everyone.
Well, hello.
That is weird.
Can y'all hear me?
We got echoes going.
We
going on
can.
here.
That was just
Yes.
me.
Okay.
For a brief moment, I got it. We can hear you, Jacob. Go on, sir.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm glad everybody could make it. Got some new guests on the show tonight. Joker Voice and Matt,
Hello.
Rocket Matt. Hooah. And we got StephenRansom.
Hello.
And back again, Wakizashi Gray. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, how are you doing? Great to be here, Jacob. Looking forward to talking about a fantastic movie that holds up very well.
Yeah.
Very much so.
It ages better than many movies.
Yes.
And it's good to be talking about a film that's actually good instead of complaining about bad content from Disney, of all places.
Right?
Oh,
Yes.
Disney's working on a woke, horrible remake of this as we speak.
Oh, I know they are.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Any
yeah.
way to make money.
Well.
But anyway,
That's debatable.
Get woke?
yes.
Go broke.
So when did everybody first see this movie? You see it in
I
the
saw
theater or on TV?
Theater when it came out.
Yep.
It's one of the few movies I actually went back to see a couple more times.
Yeah.
Yep. I was actually working at Disneyland when this film came out. I saw it in the theater, and then 3 weeks after release, Disney did a viewing in the Presidents of America theater, and I watched it there too.
Oh, cool.
How about you, Gray?
I first saw it on rental VHS, and that's how old I am.
Wow. VHS. Wow.
Remember those? They were awesome.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. This is one of those movies that, you watch it and you didn't know you were starving for this kind of cinema. Dark
Right.
City does the same thing to me. It's just like, oh my God, this is so original and so good and so well cast and everything is on point. It looks great.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, but Dark City also starred Jennifer Connelly as well.
Yes.
We
yes.
have found the secret sauce then.
Yes. Well, yes.
But for a maybe 5-year period, Jennifer Connelly they thought she was the up and coming next big actress.
Mhm.
They thought she had the look, the talent and whatever. I don't know why it didn't work out, but they're always looking for the next Elizabeth Taylor. And,
Well,
Yeah.
I think the hot zone with Don Johnson kind
Oh
of
my
ruined
God,
that.
Joker. I remember
Right?
that scene.
Right? I think we all remember that scene.
She looks amazing in this movie, Jennifer Connelly. She's
Yes.
absolutely drop dead gorgeous, as they say.
Absolutely, yes. And it's good to see. I mean, just from top to bottom. I mean, we are talking about a live action at the height of the Eisner era, which was really defined by the animated feature film. So this film kind of gets lost in the shuffle here. But I mean, that artwork there is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely gorgeous artwork, and it's a very simple classic story where the message is save the girl. This is classic heroism, just done very, very, very well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a girl that for the most part, barely needs to be saved half the time. She's
Right.
totally Lois Lane, strong as heck, getting the job done,
but
all
not in
by
a woke way.
herself.
She doesn't do stuff
Right.
she shouldn't be capable of doing.
That's
Correct.
right. That's right. She's
Correct.
handling business. She
Yeah.
still needs rescuing, but she can take care of herself too, which is also really great.
Yeah.
Very 91.
Good point.
Yep. Oh, that's that great scene when she basically seduces the guy in the context of a PG film, obviously.
Right.
And then just clubs him on the head with a vase, because she knows the guy is sort of obsessed with her, takes advantage. That's the smart way to do it. That's the way a woman who's not 6'2" like Sigourney Weaver would have to do that,
Right.
Right.
But
Which,
today
not to
they
go
would
up on
have
a
her
rant about it. Sorry.
throw him
Take
through
it.
the door.
Right. Exactly. And Zach, yes, I think we all love
Yeah, right.
Jennifer Connelly, and I just know my first love of her came in Labyrinth. I saw that, and I'm like,
Yeah, that was
Oh
good.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I was rewatching that recently. I'd forgotten she was
right.
in it.
Oh.
She's only 20 or 21 in this. Can you believe it? 20 years
Yeah.
old when it was filmed, I
She's-
think.
She's
Yeah.
only 52 right now, according to this.
so she's my age. Nice. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
well, okay, Paul. Paul, I think it's time for you to step aside. That the Wimbledon film didn't do well for you, and Vision. Sorry, he's not coming back. So you got. Let's just. Jen, call me. We're good.
Yeah. I mean, this is what's her filmography here? She's done a lot of movies, not a lot, but she's done like what 20 or 30 movies there.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was in she was in the Ang Lee Hulk film,
Correct.
which is I remember better than most people do. Yeah, it has problems, but it's a good watch.
But it was shot in such an interesting way, like the use of comic book panels and to whatnot to transition from scene to scene, and she was great. I mean, she did the best with what she had, and most folks would know her now as she's the voice of Spider-Man's AI. No longer, but she was the AI voice in Tom Holland's.
Oh, was
Spider-Man
she? I
suit.
didn't know that.
Yep.
Cool.
Oh, right. In Homecoming, right?
Yep.
Ah,
That's right. Yeah, I got it highlighted over here.
that's why it sounds
Yeah.
so sexy. That voice.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's like Sigourney Weaver doing the computer voice in Wall-E as well. It's just
Wall-E.
it's coming home to it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Can we ask Jacob? Jacob, how did you first come across this movie, The Rocketeer?
We might have fake Jacob on right now.
I think we might.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many people saw it in the theater? Stephen, you saw it. Matt, you saw it.
I saw it in the
Joker.
theater. Yeah.
Wow, I wish I'd seen it in the theater.
So while we're waiting for Jacob, let's give I can give a basic rundown of the stats on the film.
Okay.
Came out. I'm gonna. This is the Wikipedia article. If someone who has a mob proof can drop it in the chat for them. So Rocketeer came out in 1991. It was based on a comic book from about 10 years before that called The Rocketeer. It was directed by Joe Johnston, who you've heard of from Captain America, the first movie, and Jumanji.
That was a strange one.
Yep. Starred Billy Campbell, Jennifer Connelly, who we all just like glomped over, Alan Arkin, Timothy Dalton. At the time, Timothy Dalton was they thought he's just got the James Bond role, so they thought he was the next big thing. Right. The legendary Paul Sorvino, who does not get enough credit for how amazing an actor the dude was.
Right.
And whose
Agreed.
daughter is drop dead gorgeous, aside from that, and Tiny Ron Taylor. And the comic artist who created it was Dave Stevens. The movie set in it's a period piece set in the 1930s in Los Angeles, and it tells the story of a stunt pilot named Cliff Secord and his sort of mentor, who was played by Alan Arkin. They find a rocket pack that some gangsters have sort of hit on his plane, and he becomes the Rocketeer based on that. It's a fairly straightforward story with some nuances, but it's not a story you have to overly think over. It's basically him trying to, rescue his girlfriend while being chased by the mob, who is unknowingly working for a Nazi spy, while also running from the FBI, who's working with Howard Hughes to recover the rocket pack.
Okay,
And
sorry.
that's
Sorry,
basically the summary of the film. Oh,
So-
yeah. Well, one more thing. It was done by Industrial Light and Magic. They did the special effects. That's
Right.
important to know. Yep.
So I'm actually looking at the
Yeah,
numbers
they're good.
at the numbers on this film, and it was a domestic box office only, and it ended up its domestic box office ended up with 46 million just north of $46.5 million. It had it and it legged this thing legged out at a ridiculous 4.8 for its run.
Yeah. I wanted to, Jacob, we can hear you loud and
R2!
clear.
Yeah.
How you doing, Jake?
Can y'all hear me?
We got
Yes,
you.
okay.
We got you loud and clear now.
Good. Hey, R2.
Uh,
Glad you could
hey,
make it, man.
I'm so sorry. I had a small emergency that
That's all right.
occurred just about 15 minutes as I was about to head into the back room for the show. So I apologize.
Oh, that's all right.
Nice to meet you,
okay.
R2. First time
Hey.
streaming together.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you as well.
How's the family?
Good. We just got back from the kiddo spring break vacation. So
Oh, right on.
yeah, a
All
lot of
right.
fun.
When did you see this in for the first time, R2? What was your first viewing?
Let's see. This came out in 90.
One.
Yeah, so I was not quite 8 years old when this came out, but I do
God, you
remember
youngins.
seeing. Yeah. I do remember seeing it in the theater and loving it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It kind of made me think as a kid of Indiana Jones, just because
Mhm,
You know.
mhm.
the Germans are the bad guys.
Yeah, that may have been a
Yeah.
thing that didn't make this work. That may have been one of the
Uh-huh.
things against it in the from the get go. But let's get this
Really?
scrub party underway. Let's get this
Where did
film
Matt
rolling,
go?
Jakes.
Did
I
I
think
just
he just
kick Matt
popped
off?
out. It might
I
be.
think I
I'll
kicked
keep
him
an
off
eye out for him,
accidentally.
sir.
Shoot.
I'll keep an eye out.
What happened? Can you?
There he
Oh, there
goes.
he is. Hey, man.
There he is.
Sorry about that, Matt. I accidentally hit the wrong button. Sorry.
No, I blame fake Jacob. He was controlling your hand.
Right.
That's
Exactly
what it was.
what it is.
That was Jacob of Borg who did it.
How
not
many
Jacob.
Jacobs are there?
Yeah, like Ash in the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I've got another head
Yeah.
coming out.
So I'd like to ask a question though. Are we all Generation X? Because I'm getting that impression.
I am.
I
Like,
Gen
I-
X. Steven is
I'm
I'm
just
Gen
Gen X.
a millennial.
Gen X. You are. Come on now.
I want to say I'm technically not, but I grew up with a lot of Gen Xers, so I feel more in touch with that than
Yeah, me too.
Gen Y, I guess you would call it.
Correct.
Oh, you would be like you said, 8 years old, so you would have been
I
right on
was
the edge
born-
of Gen X, the top of Gen Y. Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in '83, so
Oh, yeah. Gen Y.
Okay. Wow. 10 years after me. I wish I was Jen Connolly. Generation Jennifer Connolly. Just saying.
we all are because she's 52, so she's only a
Yeah.
couple of years younger than
Yeah.
I am. So
And
So
she's-
I'm the oldest. Am I
Same
the
age as me.
youngest?
it might be. It might be. Jake.
Youngest on this stream?
Hey, R2.
Man,
Can you see us all now, Jake?
no, but I can hear you
Okay.
just fine.
Okay.
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 Good enough. Good
There we
enough.
go.
Great.
So I can do hand
Uh,
jive and Jacob won't notice.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm watching.
We all do the John Cena to Jacob, like you can't see me.
I love the font here, the Rocketeer, the lettering. It's so
Right.
stylized. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. As you were talking about before, the whole movie looks gorgeous, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here we have these type of planes were called GBs, and or I believe that's the name of this style of plane. You're basically strapping yourself onto a bomb, basically.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, if you were flying a plane back then,
You're
unless
strapping
it was a
yourself
big
onto a
one,
bomb.
yeah, any single man small plane was a flying. Like, ever had those wind up toys with a propeller where you wind it up and you flip.
Yeah.
I mean, the technology in those planes wasn't much more complicated, and they were just as flimsy as those toys. So
Yeah, hold on this shot,
Yeah.
by the way. I know I've mentioned this before. Jacob, I know you're familiar with it. Wakizashi, I know you've heard it before. I have a thing about the number 47 appearing in plot lines. This is exactly what I'm talking about. There it is right there, bona fide, something I didn't even notice until just now. On the wing is 47, and this is like, this plane brings our hero into action. It brings him into the whole plot line. It's because of the accident with the plane that the whole rest of the adventure occurs.
Okay.
I was going to say, though, to bring up these planes, this is the Model Z. And this was kind of known for just killing a pilot. I spent 15 years in the radio-controlled industry. And a lot of people flew these. These were incredibly tough to fly. A lot of times people would have to put gyros in them just to help with the stability, because they just, you turn a little bit too much and you are out of control. And,
wow.
Got a nice box, pile of kindling or foam, depending on what you're flying.
There are lots of crazy people who still fly them now.
So I guess the appeal for racing these planes was just the challenge of it.
These set speed records. This model.
Okay.
This was all about speed.
It was power to weight ratio that was the key. That's what they were shooting for, was power to weight. I'm also noticing too that I know that the art department for George Lucas was using these types of test planes, these racing planes, as the basis for pod racing. You can see the gigantic engine, teensy-weensy little dangerous cockpit. It's the same. It's just like a chariot. This is an airplane chariot. It's doing a speed
an
test.
Airplane version of a drag racer.
Yeah,
okay.
that
Gotcha.
too.
It was built for speed, and the pilot was the afterthought.
Okay, gotcha.
No safety. I mean, when he crashes it, he can't get out without help. So somebody has to come up and unlock the top of it.
Well, there are still modern racing cars that are like that too.
Yeah.
There's no way out without help. Yeah. But,
this thing just looks like this.
For the audience,
just looks like it's
the guy in the flight suit is Billy Campbell, who plays the main character, and the other guy is Alan Arkin, who plays.
I believe that Billy Campbell and Jennifer Connelly ended up dating either while on set or soon after this. Yeah,
during the filming of this, they became a couple, and they thought it helped them with their performance. I don't know if they stayed together or not.
Well, obviously not, because Jennifer's married to Paul Bettany. Bettany.
Big shout out to Alan Arkin. What a legend!
Yeah, and he was in Catch 22, which is also a movie about a flight
plane.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He just always seems like he has fun in a lot of his roles. I mean, I think that's what makes him so enjoyable. But yeah, he was great as PV.
Oh God, that cockpit just now. I'm just remembering. I'm like, oh God, no.
How tiny is it? Look, it's tiny, isn't it? It's like, oh my God.
I mean, that's all plexiglass, but I think in reality it would have been glass. I mean, he actually punches through it, and he kind of punches through it like a piece of glass.
Yeah.
Well, there were some polymer technologies back then, like the turrets on the aircraft were built. So there were some clear plastics coming out. They were able to make a translucent Bakelite of sorts. I forget exactly what it was called back then, but
that might have been Bakelite. I don't know if you could make it transparent or not.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it was, but I know that there were some rudimentary plastics that eventually became the turrets on like B-52s and stuff.
I can't think of what it's called. It wasn't cellophane, but there was something like cellophane back then. I mean, that could have been a very
we had celluloid, celluloid was a transparent.
Well, this is a different movie, but if you watch Saving Private Ryan, they're storming the beach, and their guns are all wrapped in these plastic clear bags. And that's what a lot of people assumed that it was, but it was something else, and I can't remember. But I wonder if it's even a thick version of it.
The plastics that they used for those domes, it was actually a scientist trying to make a better glue, like what is it? The super glue, and it just it messed up, but they developed it more into plexiglass.
Yeah.
By the way, Billy Campbell did a movie last year called Troll, which got very little notice, but it's a very good monster movie. So
Was
it's
that
called
the
Troll? Troll.
right?
Was he in that, Matt? No way. I didn't realize.
Is that the Netflix one? The one that came out?
I don't know how what was on. I know how I got it. So it's like
Okay.
Scandinavian movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yep. Very true to the lore, but
whoa,
anyway,
wow!
There
The
she
first
is.
time we see her.
Wow.
Yep. Just retro.
Yep.
You know, while we're kind of getting into the beginning of this film, I keep harking on the idea that all of these IP trademarks should just go back and do films in the time period of their origin, right? Let's do a 1920s, 30s, 40s Batman. Let's do a 1920s, 30s, 40s Superman. Let's do a 60s, early 70s James Bond. Let's stop messing around and just put them back in their own time frame so that they can swat women on the butt and women can turn around and be partially liberal. And, you know, I mean, the whole 9 yards. Let's just stop messing around. They're not the properties anymore.
I think they answered your prayer, Stephen. There's a Batman anime movie that came out set in the 20s or 30s, just recently.
And then let's go to a 1969 film where the women burn their bras. I'm all for that too.
There you go. Right? Yeah.
And they be shooting.
Oh, and the
Tommy guns.
playing.
Classic Tommy gun there. Look at that.
And there it goes.
Not good.
No.
Yeah, my grandfather was one of the guys in his troop allowed to carry a Tommy gun in the theater.
Kudos to the pilot that flew this plane like it was.
Yep. Yeah, that must have been a blast. It was probably a private owner that did it. I'm trying to think of like how Hollywood would have contracted it. They would have put it out like a casting agency would have put it out. You know, local pilots were looking for this type of plane, blah, 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 blah. And they crashed a prop, a very big prop.
Yeah.
So good to see plane scenes that look real. Of course they are real. It's physical. It's all there. And as you say, fantastic flying by the stuntmen or the pilots.
What happened to the vacuum cleaners? I know what happened to vacuum cleaners. They looked futuristic back then.
No way, I didn't realize. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, the technical answer is there was a vast metal shortage post of World War II and the Depression.
Right.
And when that eventually got solved, plastics had replaced metals in common use.
Okay.
Yeah, but Electrolux still sold a model that looked like a rocket ship all the way into the early 70s in America. I'm sure you had a similar Hoover.
Did it have Hoover on that, the brand Hoover then? No way.
There was also Electrolux as well. Hoover was another company.
So this guy switches out the rocket for...
Yeah.
And then they find out that this rocket sucks. Because it's a vacuum.
Yeah.
Hey, you're bomby.
Wrong kind of rocket. Hey, you're bomby.
Cliofilm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it was called.
This guy's a pretty good shot with that little. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's some good shooting there, Tex.
It's that movie style aiming with one eye.
Yeah. Or there's a lot of scenes in this where they're shooting with their eyes closed. I noticed.
Well, I think that's on purpose to give a throwback to how movies and TV shows were back then. You know,
yeah.
In other words, like they did it back then because they didn't know any better, right? But Johnston is doing it here because he wants it to look like it was filmed back then. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Are you just trying to say Ed Lauter wasn't a pussy and just afraid of firing a gun and closed his eyes every time he shot it?
Definitely not.
Look at this actor in
just
this
a
in this
language
set
reminder.
piece.
Keep it clean.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Dude.
One
I get
thing,
off my channel and I get
I don't
all.
want to criticize this show because it's a fun movie, but that oil all over him and the
Blech.
flames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross.
See you later. Yeah.
This was probably right on the edge of getting the picture shut down. Like that's probably just on the edge of being really, really dangerous. I'll bet.
Yeah.
Well, in the 90s, no, they didn't care back in the 90s.
Yeah, they were right on the edge of some new thinking, and which kind of reduced stunt
when
work.
did the Twilight Zone film happen and what's his face got killed?
Oh yeah, that was a real clincher. That moment.
1884, I think.
Because Brandon Lee died right around this time too.
That's true
Yeah.
too. That's true too. Yeah, like I said, it was right on the ragged edge. I'll bet it was right on the ragged edge.
This guy's
That's
That's a
just
great
small
shot,
picture.
Jacob.
Doesn't he?
Look at that. A great photo.
Again, all of the faces in
I'm not
this
telling
are
you
like
nothing.
right out of a Dick Tracy movie. It's so
Yeah.
great.
I was
Yeah,
thinking the same
yeah.
thing, Stephen. Yeah.
The mugs. Everybody's got a mug. Nobody has a face in this movie. They all got mugs. It's great. Great
Yeah.
stuff. Very period too. You know, it's very much in the time period of the film.
Oh yeah.
And we just
Especially
had Dick
this guy-
Tracy just a couple of years before that too.
Yeah.
The taller
the Warren
FBI
Beatty.
guys, definitely
Oh, yeah.
like a cop from those novels.
Oh yeah, they're like the FBI versions of the inspectors in Tintin. You know, it's the same. You know, tall
Yeah.
and skinny. You know, not too bright but clever enough. You know, it's great. It's great
I want
stuff.
to say nobody had a transatlantic accent in this film, though.
True.
No, true. And
Transatlantic,
they assume it's
Yeah.
the rocket there.
right? That's the gizmo.
That thing right there.
Yeah, that sure looks like the gadget. It's so great. The whole language is so awesome.
The Hootawiki, the
Dude, what the heck do they know, man? This is like Buck Rogers rocket science. They can't even believe it's
Right.
real. They probably don't even believe Howard Hughes that he actually made what he made. They're
right.
like, whatever, you know, some rich dude has got us on the beat.
Speaking of,
Yeah. Great
Just-
performance.
just
This is
to-
like seeing
just to-
Tesla.
Let y'all know, Howard Stark is modeled after Howard Hughes.
correct.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way, Howard Hughes is an amazing person. People should go read up on him.
Yeah.
So how does he come into the movie,
He went
guys?
a
Can you
li- he went a
explain
little
this?
crazy there at the end.
Okay, so what's happened so far?
It's like
I'll come right to this day. So the whole scene that we talked about, where the guy stole the rocket and then hid it in the plane, right? All that happened.
Yeah.
And so he put the vacuum in there. The FBI thinks they've recovered it, and so whatever. So now the FBI is going back to Howard Hughes to talk to him about what's going on. Okay, so that's he is the inventor of
And now he's-
of the American version
Yeah.
of the Rocketeer pack.
Yeah,
And now
because I
he's
believe
taking
how because
Taking the
yeah, because I believe Howard is experimenting with this tech at this time. So I
Yeah.
believe at the time Howard Hughes is the leading avionics mind in the United States. So they're going to him and saying,
Yeah.
"Okay, can you explain this to us?" And he's like, "You have a vacuum,
No,
sir."
he's the inventor of it. So they're working with him to develop it, and and it was stolen, so they were sent out to recover it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, no, he's since he thinks the rocket is destroyed, so he's saying, "I wish I'd never thought it up," and then he
Trash of the plans.
chucks it in the
Gotcha.
fire.
I know,
Gotcha.
yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not the One Ring, so it does burn.
Yes.
Yes,
Beautiful artwork again on there. The World's Fair, 1939.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
Mhm.
So now
There's
back at
another
the I guess air base or the hangar for where
Right.
the protagonists are. So that's Alan Arkin,
Right.
and what's the other guy's name?
Oh, he always plays but he always plays like a slimy
He's
kind
The
of
mafia.
Yeah, he was the
Ransom.
pawn shop
Yeah.
guy in The
Yeah.
Crow.
Yeah,
Yes.
The pawn
Yeah,
shop.
almost,
yeah.
almost like
Yep.
a bookie type character.
Yeah, kind of.
Yep.
I can't think of his name. He passed away about 10 years ago, I think, at this point.
Yeah. He's the landlord and he owns the flying show that they work with. And
Right.
they don't have the rent and they lost their plane. So he's saying, well, you got to do this dangerous clown stunt if you want it to, and I'll take 1/3 of it for in place of your rent, basically.
Right.
And he's
He's kind of a shyster.
charging them for the explosion too.
Right.
Plus his
Right.
fuel truck blew up. So basically.
Right.
John Polito. He was also wasn't he the private eye in Big Lebowski? That was,
Yeah.
hunting him down too.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. He's in Big Lebowski, isn't he?
Oh, that, and he played an FBI agent in The Freshman with Matthew Broderick. That was another
Oh, wow.
one too. Yeah.
Well, he's been in a ton of stuff, and I always think of him as looking like Mean Gene Okerlund from wrestling, but he was on
So he puts
Homicide.
the photo in there, since it's going to be his airplane for a little bit.
Right.
And then what's this? What's in there?
And they,
What's under the seat?
what
It's
is
not
this?
a snake.
What could it be? Right. Definitely not a snake.
And
but
look
ooh,
at that.
that is just a great design. That is
It
just
is.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Very good. Like, what is it?
Hey, Tony Stark.
By
check
the
this
way,
out.
we should mention this. They've been, as gross as it is nowadays, they've been planting the chewing gum thing since the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't think much
Good
of it
luck
until
being
the
on
later
that
in the movie.
detail.
But
Setup. Yeah, good
But they're
setup.
planting to put in your head for later in the movie.
Right.
Mhm.
And I love.
What was the name of
I
that?
love this. He's
That
like,
come again?
what is this?
Oh, the Beeman's gum, the liquor.
Yes.
gum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Beeman, yeah.
they also made Beeman's also made a gum clove flavored too.
Yeah.
Hey, casual.
Hey.
Hey, theme park.
That Rocket Pack though, now I look at that and I'm like, I could totally see Disney making that to be like one of like their collector like popcorn buckets.
Oh
you know,
yeah.
that everybody's after.
Hmm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We
Could
do
you
live in a time
imagine?
when rocket packs are real now, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, I can imagine a hero prop.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a hero prop that you could buy online by like Sideshow or something? The same way they make a lightsaber, but like all metal, and it even glows out the bottom of the jetpack.
Yeah.
I mean, $1,200, $2,000 isn't really a lot to ask, to be honest, for a prop like that. Good grief.
And you do remember, people out in the audience, this is a comic book movie, so you kind of have to hand wave a lot of the physics that don't work.
Right. Exactly.
Or the fact that his neck should be snapping left and right while he's flying around with the
Exactly.
tiller on his helmet.
Well, there's
Just the G's alone would just be
yeah.
insane.
No, I was going to mention. Have you seen the prop builders who make the proton packs that light up, and then they've got the vapes in them, and to have the smoke? Like, imagine somebody doing that with one of those. I'm almost shocked that we haven't seen that.
Yeah, it is kind of shocking. One would think. And,
That would be a fun
include the
prop.
jacket as well. Why not? The whole harness and everything.
Yeah,
You
that'd
could
be
easily
cool.
do it.
And here's
You
the
hear us
zombie.
out there,
Amazing.
toy makers? Let's make that happen, toy makers. Let's make that happen
Yes.
by next
Hey,
Christmas.
Hey, Hasbro, come on now. Well, I mean, I have gone to a few cons, and I have seen a couple of Rocketeer cosplayers, and with the stuff they can do with foam that they've made that pack, and it looks damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now the mobster's
Yeah.
here talking with this guy.
Neville Sinclair.
He's the guy who wants the rocket.
Yes,
He's paying the
and,
mob dudes to.
and he's
to
kind
get
of
it
this
for
like,
him.
and he's this like knockoff Errol Flynn.
Well, I will mention also there's some slander in this movie, real world slander. Errol Flynn was not a Nazi sympathizer or a Nazi.
No, he was not.
But there was someone who wrote a biography about him who claimed that he was, and it wasn't debunked until after they made this movie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
So he's basically, this guy is model Errol Flynn, like you just said, to the point that they're filming Robin Hood when they do the movie scene later. That's the stair pipe from Robin Hood.
Right.
Yeah,
you know?
the set is almost identical. Also, point of trivia: this house that they're filming in is one of the boxer houses of the famous architect, the guy who did the Guggenheim and such, Frank Lloyd Wright. This is a Frank Lloyd Wright. The block work in the background is a custom design by the architect.
Wow.
Is that the same person who did the house for the House on Haunted Hill, too?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
same
getting
block
Blade Runner
work
vibes for some reason. Blade Runner vibes.
Well, I was just about to say the same block work. That his house was also his apartment is in one of these boxer houses.
Right.
Yeah.
In L.A.
It makes me think of like the end scene of Blade. Like I'm waiting for him to worship a Sumerian god.
Right.
Yeah.
Now this guy,
Guys, how good is Timothy Dalton in this? The way he switches from charm to menace, and when he cuts the flowers with his rapier, that's such a great scene.
Yeah. Now, and then he calls this fella to get the rocket, find out where the rocket
Dick Tracy villain.
What a caricature! This character is fantastic. It just pushes the whole thing into comic book land. This
if
one
I'm not
character.
mistaken, the actor that plays him was actually 7 foot tall.
Yeah, Tiny Ron.
Yeah. Shocker.
Oh, right, was it?
And
way.
he makes a cameo later in the film with no makeup.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. No way.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and speaking of cameos, the director of the film makes an appearance. He plays the Nazi test pilot that gets blown up bursts into flames. Yeah. That's actually him on screen.
Joe Johnston. Yep. No way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I just heard about that today.
I love how they stole the statue to test the rocket with.
Right, another alleged Nazi conspirator, supposedly.
Who was the statue of again? I forget.
Charles Lindbergh.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah,
I never heard that rumor.
There was
before.
a conspiracy about him too. But
yeah, there's a lot of in stuff there, you know.
Yeah, it's hysterical. There's so many historical ear points in this. You could just tell that everybody from the comic book creator all the way through the whole production, everybody's like, this period in time was so chock full of adventure. It was just so much fun going on.
It's like, we better make a helmet.
Yeah. What did that friggin' statue hit?
Oh, and there she is.
Hello, Jennifer.
Oh, happy days. Wow.
Yep. Le Bohème.
Guys, a little bit of trivia. I just learned this before we joined this stream. I was streaming with Nerdporial about Star Trek. He said that Billy Campbell was in the running to get Riker's role in Next Generation. I had no idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have. I could see
preferred
that.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I'm not impressed with Jonathan Frakes as an actor. I'm just not.
Uh-oh. We're getting into some things here. Just to let everyone know, in case you didn't know it already, Nazis are bad. Very bad. Just letting everybody know that.
Yes, the World War II German socialists are horrible, horrible people.
Right. Oh, and R2, just to ease your mind, because I know how an earworm works. It's my fire alarm that's been tweeting, and the battery has been changed, but it continues to do so. It never shows up on any of the recordings after the fact, and
I never even
don't even
noticed.
know the audience exactly.
Well, I came home to 2 going off after we got back from our vacations. That's how I feel about it.
You're a little
pull the
sensitive
batteries.
then.
I mean, if you're dead, you're dead. You know, just pull the batteries.
Right.
I was waiting for you to be like, I licked them. They shocked me. They're still good.
Yeah,
so blimps back then were full of hydrogen, and people now they're saying, "Wait a minute, why would you make a giant bomb to fly overseas and such?" Just like I pointed out with stuntmen, prior to the 1970s, or between 1970 and 1990, no one cared about safety for anyone or anything. There were no seatbelts. There were no do not hold by the hot end of this curling irons on your curling irons. You know, there was no no smoke alarms. There was no, it was just like
metal steering wheels and metal dashboards.
Yep. There were no grounds on your appliances, so if you touched your plugged-in coffee pot while it was going and happened to touch the running water in your sink, you would basically get a massive shock. That was common back then. People knew. I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying it's just there was no safety back then. So that's why the blip has hydrogen in it.
Well, it did weed out the not so bright people back then.
I want to say too.
We're also getting the Hindenburg too.
The Hindenburg, that's what it was.
Right.
It was it was painted with like a metallic paint too. Like that also was the other thing that made it melted in midair.
Right, and again just being true to the time frame that this was very common for movies back then to have like a little newsreel or support the war effort kind of little things prior to the actual film.
Interesting. The people in the Hindenburg wreck, most of the people on the ship survived because the heat rose. Yeah. And it was just slow enough that they were able to jump out and get out of the way before it hit the ground.
Yeah, that's also the explanation as to why the Rocketeer's legs aren't bursting into flames throughout the film.
Right.
There's a thing to aerodynamics that would push the heat away from his legs, and if he just relaxes his legs, the aerodynamics would also place his legs in the right position. They'd just be following the jet stream.
Well, like I said, we just overlook certain scientific facts.
Yeah, I mean, some of the explanation is there. Yeah. Otherwise, your brain wouldn't accept it at all, right?
Yeah,
it's like your brain just understands, like, yeah, okay, it's working on screen, so I guess it looks good. It's cool.
I was going to ask about that, Stephen. Nice one. Yeah, I was like, I think I must have missed it. I'm very ignorant. I had no idea. How come he's not on fire? How come he's not burning his ass off?
Well, here's a little interesting little bit of trivia from Dark Knight, from the second Chris Nolan film. The Batman, when he's riding the motorcycle, they thought they were going to have to CGI the cape. But in a couple of test runs, they found out that due to the aerodynamics of the motorcycle, the cape never even approached the tires ever. And it just worked out for them, that it just worked out to jet stream the cape. And it just worked naturally on set as a practical effect. No wires necessary, no nothing.
So now he checks to make sure this is the right guy. I just want to know how many windows he went in to check to see if it was the right person.
Could you imagine?
Well, what they're doing here, and this is an amazing scene, by the way, because this is basically a PG movie, right? So, the way he kills him is he does what I call boloing someone. If you ever Enter the Dragon, Bolo crush that guy like you crush a cardboard tube in his arms, right?
Yeah.
So, but they don't show it on camera; they show the shadow. So, like when you have a family watch little kids, you don't want to see a guy getting snapped into like a twig directly. So they build up the menace to it with him holding the shadows and the fire over his head, and sneaking around and looking close, like scowling at him. And then they go to this scene which is shadowed, so you can get the scare out of it without necessarily showing the guy on screen being snapped into and blood shooting out of his face.
Yeah, that's the great thing. You don't have to see stuff, It can just be in your head.
Yeah,
and I think that is a lot more effective.
And that, also, by the way,
I'm sorry.
I was saying before about Johnston putting this in the way they filmed back then. That's how they would have filmed this back then, because you couldn't show the boloing on, So that's right. You had to show the scare. The scare had to be done the way they did it here, and so more of Joe Johnston just being great at filming this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the character design of Uther right here. The previous year, 1990, we got Disney's Dick Tracy. So I'm sure that had some inspiration on the design of this character here. Yeah,
more than that, actually. Without Dick Tracy, they never would have greenlit this film. Without Indiana Jones as well. This film is based on this new retro thing that they were experimenting with.
Yeah.
Of how to go back and make a popcorn pulp thing.
didn't
Is
the
this
Shadow
character
come out
lifted
around
from
same
the
time,
comic
too?
Yes,
book?
indeed, Matt. Indeed,
Yeah.
the Shadow and the Phantom
Yeah.
We're both
both came out
94.
around the same time period. Yeah.
Matt, have you read the comic book? Yeah. Is this character lifted from it, the Dick Tracy style, disfigured face, this huge villain?
Yeah, it's
last
also
time I
based
read
on the
comic-
same vibe as the Spirit too.
Yeah.
Right. I haven't read it
I
either,
was
no.
last time I read the comic, it was like 1988 or 89 before I was in high school.
Oh,
Fair enough.
and this diner here, just that outside design, so cool. I mean, I wish we had those still.
Isn't it
Those are
amazing, Joker?
It's-
Yeah,
That
it's
would
so
just be
good.
so.
They
So
bulldozed
cool.
it maybe the last 10 years, but up until like 10 years ago in my area, they had one or two of these retro diners that sold themselves on being retro. And I think one's an IHOP and the other one's a parking, like an apartment building now. But for years we had Al's Diner, which was like a retro place, and
Right.
And there was another place.
Because Stephen would know this in the LA area. They've got these. I don't know if they still have them, but Ed Evix was very much a this style, kind of almost like rubies, the ones on at like Huntington Beach Pier and whatnot. It's like old school so the jerk malt shop kind of diners.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, and old Route 66 goes through Springfield.
Okay.
And they had several little diners like this on that road. Kind of
Yeah.
cool.
That's why it appears in so much rockabilly as well as this Route 66 notion, because it was kind of like a single freeway you could take all the way from one coast to the other. And it was littered with, in early automobile days, it was littered with these little chestnut restaurants and little chestnut sideshows and stuff like that, like Giant Ball of Yarn and so on.
Right. And then you've also got these booths that normally we think of a booth. Now these booths are small, they're intimate, just made for two people. Just the attention to detail
Yeah.
of that time frame.
So she finds out he almost died in flames.
And this is after he disrupts the her on set.
No,
No, this
Okay.
is before.
Okay.
Okay.
Oops. Spoilers.
they're about to temporarily break up here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, even when she looks mad.
Well, part of that's the director too. She looks like a young Elizabeth Taylor look, that old
Right.
Hollywood female star look. Where they always just have that piercing gaze and look at the angle look at the angle her head is at. It's like
Yeah,
off on the
that's-
neck. So
that's
you
important.
watch that throughout the film. You'll constantly see that on her.
Yeah. Huh.
Is that good directing or good acting from her, or a bit of both?
Well, I think
Little
it's both,
both.
yeah.
Little both.
Yeah, very good.
And
Or
then
even
and then
past it when he pouted
she
right
had-
after she left. He pouted. That's
Right.
a common thing back then to see people pout, adults pout in the serial.
Out, get him that.
Well, nowadays
Classic.
it's a little thing or an anime thing, but like there's the pout right there. But
Right.
back then, if you watch the serials and the TV shows and whatever, you'll see like Ralph Cranston would pout all the time on screen.
right.
He's
and
thinking,
then
I should have
and
taken
then-
that job on Star Trek.
and then he rushes out and we see her going into her bus, which is to take her back to the housing for girls. I believe this
Yep.
was a studio thing back then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I was watching a first-time reactor, a young lady, and she said, I really wish boarding houses for ladies would come back because the rent would be cheaper and it would just be a whole bunch of ladies living together and it would be so much safer. And I was like, wow. And this
Wow,
is like
that's-
some young gal, present day, like saying
That's based.
I was
That's
pretty
based.
astonished. She was like,
Now-
that's such
now-
a great idea. She's like, totally
Now-
never heard of it before.
Now the boarding houses during that time, these were paid for by the studios.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was always curious what he made the helmet out of, like what, because it almost looks like a radio.
I think it was a toaster or a kitchen appliance of some sort.
Space titanium.
Transparent aluminum.
Yeah.
Well, that and the fact that it
There you
the
go.
shape too is so different because it seems to be a lot more wider and more circular too, I guess, in a way. Once he has it done, compared to there, it just seems so narrow.
Right. And I just looked at something earlier. This film cost $42 million to make.
Now, I'm not going to defend Disney. We have the helmet on here, but I'm hoping that the person in Disney wanted to do this because of the Commander Cody comparison. But the helmet for the Rocketeer is iconic from the comic book, right? And Disney wanted to change it to be some sort of NASA helmet or whatever. And we're still, so I'm hoping they want to do that because it would look more like Commander Cody's helmet. So they want to do a tie-in like that. But like, here's where they're filming Robin Hood, basically.
Knock off Robin Hood, right?
Yeah.
And he looks like the guy on The Princess Bride.
A little bit.
What's his name?
Yep. Montoya.
Inigo Montoya.
Yes.
Mandy Patinkin.
And he also has a look of kind of the from the Robin Hood film, the sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be an Errol Flynn like SB.
Right. And in comes the set. Oh wow, practical sets! Wow, what a concept!
Yeah, and this is why we don't use them anymore.
What
if you look around, you'll see the Robin Hood sets used in like 20 other films.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah, classic.
Cut. Oh, Jenny Blake, sure. Jenny, cut.
That's me.
Well, what is that? If you've ever go to like Universal Studios in Hollywood or Warner Brothers, I mean, you do those tours. There's a lot of iconic.
Oh yeah,
sets that they use outdoor, especially like both of them. They're Times Square kind of area downtown. There's so many times I watch a TV show and I'm like, oh, that's Warner Brothers. Oh, that's Universal.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. If they make something like whether it's a prop or it's a set or whatever, and they don't have to destroy it and can't profit from that, they leave it around because they just reuse it over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah. And he overhears them.
Okay, and this is right after. This is right after he tells the director that he wants her off the set, he wants her fired, and then all of a sudden he hears this and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, you're of use now."
And he stabs the guy he's fencing with in that scene.
That's right.
Yeah,
and
then the guy's
he's like, "I don't care
really?
about this guy."
Really? He's like, "Really? You had to stab me?"
Yeah, was I upstaging you?
Right.
Yeah, classic. And he's probably in his head. He was just like, yeah.
Yes, you were.
Glad you got the note. Bastard.
I'm the number 3 to box office draw because he says that line too a few times.
Yeah.
There's so many little classic tropes that they've weaseled into here as well.
I wonder if they deliberately dug out some of the Robin Hood set stuff when they did this. Props and whatever, you know? Because there would have been a ton of that material. I mean, obviously the clothes would have been long since gone, but some of the probably 5,000 swords they made and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I wonder if like Johnson say, hey, go look and see if we have any of that stuff laying around, you know? Because what they do is the studios don't necessarily make it for themselves. There are whole companies that make this stuff and warehouse it. You know, warehouse everything, cars, swords, guns, whatever it is, clothes, and just rent them to the studios over and over again.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Sorry, guys. I'll move on in just a second. I had to check something real quick.
Gotcha.
That's why I had a running joke when I was making fun of Rings of Prime. Did they find a box of the old Vulcan ears from Star Trek, and we rented them out to the Amazon people for their show?
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, hold on. Is this what I think it was? Hold on, I'm trying to find the studio that made this.
It was Disney Touchstone. No.
No. That made the original Robin Hood.
Oh, Robin Hood. Yeah. MGM? No, that's before MGM.
Let's see.
20th century.
Look at. Come on. While we're looking,
I think that's Quadrophenia, actually. I think that might be
No,
Quadrophenia, maybe.
And I wonder when they were filming the air show scenes, if they actually found an old retro air show, said, "Look, we'll give you these custom planes if you guys fly this stuff for us to film."
Yeah, I mean, in '91 in Los Angeles, there probably was a retro air show that you could actually just hire them to just do all of this.
I mean, up in Reno, there's a huge.
There is.
They do a couple air shows a year, and there's people who have all sorts of different types of aircraft out there because there's people who have P-51s and Sopwith Camels and GB racers. Right. So yeah, I mean, they're just hiring people to come fly.
Yeah. Now they find that photo.
Hey, Salty.
They find that photo in the airplane, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
And it's got his name on it.
Yeah, it should be noted that he's the gangster is not playing it for laughs either. He's totally serious. He's totally straight-faced, right? He's the straight man. Yeah. His goons are slightly caricatured, but he's not at all.
Yeah. And he shows up and sees the plane flying away. Uh-oh.
And I want to say what he's flying there, I think, is a Sopwith Camel. I mean, I could be wrong, but those are like real gentle, easy, slow flying planes. Yeah.
Looks like one.
Right. Would that eventually have evolved into the crop dusting industry?
Yeah, I mean, those came from World War I, and then, as time changed, that kind of probably was an early crop duster. I mean, even that design had changed considerably.
Right.
Okay.
It's still the biplane design, with them, just because of how they can go a lot slower.
I found it out. The Warner Brothers.
So this guy hasn't flown in years,
right?
And I guess he's a little simple-minded. I think,
or he's just old. He's just He doesn't have his air legs under him, so his responses are not as fast and to whatnot, and
right. And he was a World War I vet too. I think it says earlier.
Right.
Oh,
and that helmet is so cool.
That's dope. And then this is where PP I think notices the leak and pulls gum out of his mouth, pops it in.
Yep.
No, that hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, no, this was just for luck. He puts the gum on there for luck.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah. Yep. And the payoff is later on. It's great. It's this Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future kind of writing is so lost nowadays, where these little teensy-weensy little grains of rice are just littered through the whole movie, one after another, and they all pay off in the end. Every single one of them. It's so great.
And another thing, as we're talking about just attention to detail and stuff, the way he's using his arms, that his arms are out to his side.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, because that's how your body would be designed to work like this. If you put your arms forward, just the wind resistance would tear your shoulder out.
Well, yeah, but see, the thing is, in real terms of physics, he's moving too fast to hold his arms up like that. Try holding 2 10-pound weights out to your side like this.
Right, I get it.
Yeah. So it's like you have to just hand wave like all sorts of physics and physiology. You just have to say, doesn't matter. It's a comic movie because there's no way.
Just go with it. It's good. It's great.
Well, I was gonna say, watching this, I always think like he needs to have one of those flying squirrel suits on, almost to like when he does
Right?
like land on something to slow down for like a little bit of resistance. But I mean, that would actually make him more stable too as he's flying.
It's okay though, because he has a. It's okay though because he has a fin on his head. It
Right.
works.
Because it looks
That's
cool.
right.
The actual real world jetpacks that are out there now, they don't fly like that, like going horizontal. They hover you along.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll be
I
right
like
back.
this. He just grabs him
Right.
and the plane crashes.
The plane, boss, the plane.
It's
the guy
all
out.
part of the show.
No, right.
Drop.
Right. Drop it into a drop up
Thing
into
blew
a
up my other
hot
one.
air balloon. Oh, it's all part of the show, folks. It's all part of the show. And then I think Peavy shows up in a truck. Yep.
That's a nice truck.
He's flying around.
I love this
salute
part.
and oops.
He hits the button and falls. And there's so many good scenes in here.
I like it.
He runs through the clothesline
Cornfield.
with a bunch of clothes on it. Cornfield, and then
skips.
Which
would probably break every bone in his body.
Probably.
I was waiting to see if you were going to have a clip of it, but when he goes through the cornfield and the two good old boys are like Big Gopher, the bigger guy that is Tiny Ron who plays Lothar.
Big Gopher.
Okay.
Okay. I was going to say you would probably, if anybody who's watched Roadhouse, he was Mountain. He was the big guy in that.
Okay.
But he also played Al on the Police Squad and the Police Academy movies.
Oh, all righty.
You got something on the side of your mouth.
Oh, okay.
Here, there. Half the banana falls out.
Big Gopher. Cord, are you okay? I like it.
I like it. The
Here,
truck won't start.
Take the wheel. What? Just take the wheel. That face there. Oh! Yeah.
Again, you have to hand away because the pressure would snap his arms.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
The mafiosa. And this guy again.
He's acting.
He looks slimier.
I know. This was all part of the show, and gives him the name of the Rocketeer.
Why did he have? Oh, that's got to be an ash bucket. That's why do you have a shovel hanging on his door? But that's got to be an ash bucket back then.
Yeah. Flying Man saves pilots.
What's an ash bucket?
An ash shovel for like a fire, like a wood burning fire stove or coal burning stove.
And I love this part. He was just like, and this vacuum cleaner won't fall into the wrong hands thanks to the FBI.
Thanks to the great work of the FBI.
Well, their competence is still the same today, so.
Yeah.
He's still alive, by the way. Terry Quinn, who played
Hughes. Howard Hughes, yeah.
He was in Lost. He was in
right. There's been a lot of things.
Guns.
Yeah. Lots of things.
Millennium. He played Frank Black's senior age. And he played the guy in the Millennium Group. What else? A whole bunch of stuff, you know.
Yeah. So these FBI guys go back to the airfield. And what do they find? Somebody folded up. Oh, look, his foot right there. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. Because that's exactly what he's doing. You know, in an old detective novel, it'd be like, well, his act got all folded up. So this is quite literally somebody got folded up, quite literally.
And again, way to put the horror on without being horrible. You know,
right.
Yeah.
Gruesome.
And they notice he's got a pin in his hand, so they figure out he wrote something.
Right.
And I love this scene too. It cuts from that to the actual note.
Yep.
In the big dude's hand.
Right.
And it looks like he's already taken it apart. And
So the books he's looking
Fantastic.
through, for people who don't know, before we had calculators and computers and stuff, as a scientist and engineer, you have to have books of calculations and reference tables for all sorts of logarithm values, angle values, solutions to calculus problems and whatever. So you can that was your way of having a calculator. So you have to constantly multiply out and do all sorts of stuff by hand. You know?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, kind of a cut and paste engineering. Yeah.
Well, or like
People
they
were
had slide
smarter back
rulers
then.
too that would have the equations on there too.
Yeah, but not like if you needed like if you had to do a
Sure.
logarithmic analysis of God, it's been too many years since I did this shit. Stuff. Like you have like 1,000 page in the book with like a million values for this one particular logarithmic analysis. You know?
Yeah.
When I first got to college years ago, when our professors still had his books from his youth, I was like, "What's those books?" And he's like, "Oh," well, and he look at this, and he pulled out like, well, we have calculators. He goes, "Yes, you have calculators now. That's why you all don't have to spend $1,000 on these books."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Look, he throws a hammer at this dude. It's like, oh,
Fantastic.
man, that dude. He's got this little bitty hat on his head. It's funny.
His face looks like he holds a hammer.
Yeah. You want to show somebody's toughness? That's always a great bit. Just throw a hammer at him and have it bounce off his chest. It's like, oh, okay, this guy might be a problem.
Well, I mean, because if you throw a wrench, then he could have dodged the ball. Then I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
Classic.
That looks like a
That's
lamp,
absolutely
doesn't it?
classic.
Yeah,
Nice
that is a
lamp.
lamp. I remember lamps like those. I think I lived in a house in Nebraska that had those.
Dude, the second I saw this in the theater, I was like, is this supposed to be a joke referencing Christmas Story?
No, this is just of the time, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
What you're saying is lamps look like vacuum cleaners?
Sometimes,
Like rocket
yes.
ships?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It makes me
Back
think of
then they did.
Spaceballs for some reason.
In the late 30s, that's what lamps looked like, right there.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Rocket packs, you know.
That's right.
And
Exactly.
then the FBI shows up.
Oh, this scene is crazy, isn't it? They absolutely pepper that house with with bullets. How did they survive?
Magic.
How did
Well-
it hit the rocket
Movie
pack? It was an
magic.
explosion.
Right?
Yeah.
The FBI
These
guys
houses
shot-
gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. The FBI
The-
guys accidentally picked up the blanks.
Oh,
Right.
okay,
Right.
that's it.
Yeah. That's it.
Hysterical.
Makes sense.
Back in the day, that house that
The
you're looking
rookie
at in this
FBI
movie,
agent.
it's all pulled mortar. So it's slat and mortared concrete on the walls. So there's no
Okay.
plaster in this house. That wall is almost a foot thick, and half of it is made out of concrete or stone or brick.
Wow.
So
Bulletproof.
you could survive what they just did. You just get away from those windows. But
Gotcha.
even the windows were pretty hardy. I mean, they're all made out of redwood, all the framework and stuff like that. You could survive this onslaught in one of these LA houses or in these LA bungalows.
Back in the day, yeah.
Well, they're
Yeah,
also
back in
shooting
the day.
pistol caliber. They're not shooting any rifle rounds too, which against
Yeah,
concrete,
right.
they're
That's
gonna
true.
that's gonna make a
Jacob?
big difference.
Can
That's
you go
right,
back
yeah.
to the photo just before? That was a classic shot. You've got the rocket pack, and it's just surrounded by bullet holes in the wall.
Yeah.
It's great.
Now, so I always thought that this was okay. So I thought that this film, because it wasn't this film, it was set in L.A., but wasn't it by an orange grove? So isn't this
Yeah.
like? So isn't this actually like
Yeah.
early Anaheim?
No, there were orange groves even not like blocks away from where I live, which is pretty much
Okay.
heart of LA. And
Okay.
they just bought those places out. They forced them out of the marketplace by
Got it.
through Florida and Anaheim.
Okay.
You know, big farming kind of blew up these old orchards, these old family orchards. So yeah, there was orchards like right in the heart of LA back in the day.
Got it. Now,
Yeah.
I just want to say, this
That's
set piece here, any movie that is set in this time frame, if it does not have a set piece of these old Hollywood clubs, I am pissed off, because this needs to be in every single period piece from this time, because this is just so freaking cool.
A
Yeah,
restaurant
so
with a
cool.
camera
Is it
following
a
every
set
table?
or is it
I'm all for that.
location? Is it real?
I think it's a set piece. I think I don't think that this is an
It's
actual.
so well built. It's beautiful, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is this? It looks like the same. You know, the movie The Shadow. It looks like the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Could it be?
Well, we were just
Yeah.
talking
Well,
about. They probably.
it's all Art Deco. I mean,
Yeah,
of that time period.
I mean, it could be a.
But
Art
they
Deco
told me
film.
the same stuff. Like they reuse this stuff over and over again.
And look,
Yeah.
it's one of the Howards.
Yep. Yeah.
Leonard Howard. Look at that.
Now, he
forehead.
looks like a comic book character.
Right.
Yeah.
You could you could show a film on that forehead. Dear God.
Yeah.
Joker.
Do you think he
It's
was
the
telling
official
them that he loved
henchman
him as
forehead.
James Bond?
Oh, and classic beauty. I mean, just I cannot praise Jennifer Connelly and the wardrobe department, the makeup for this. They did this so right.
The singer in the club is Jan from The Office too, by the way.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I noticed that. After watching, after doing the Rear Window stream, and Grace Kelly, I mean, she's the same kind of classic beauty.
Yep. And Gray, just back me up on this. Look at those eyebrows. I mean, come on. It's crying
There
out
you
loud.
go again, Stephen. You're right. And those lips. Fantastic. Classic beauty.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bow chicka wow wow.
And so he goes in and talks to the mob dude. So
Right,
this is the mobsters club.
Club, right? Which again, in that time frame, these films, all the clubs were owned by mobsters.
Hypothetically, that might still be true today in certain places.
I mean, I do live in Vegas. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Well, what is it? The Comedy Store used to be some mob owned.
Oh yeah.
Speakeasy back in the day. So
Yes.
Yeah. I worked on a piece of property in Los Angeles and its back history was told to us by the owners. Back in the 20s and 30s, it was owned by an old colonel from the U.S. Army. And he would rent out space to young ladies and pimp them.
Fun.
And there were like a dozen young ladies in the house, and he would have parties there, and the girls would be hosting. And it was a pretty famous deal up until like about 1931 or so, when the market basically collapsed.
Right.
But yeah, there was a lot of wanky going on in Hollywood long before World War II hit.
Is that a technical term?
He's like,
Yes, you got to say it
found
3
one,
times, just like
found one of my
Beetlejuice.
guys folded in half. He says, I found one of my guys folded in half.
Yeah, he's not too
Go
happy
after one of my
about
guys
that.
again,
Right.
I'll kill you.
He was a made man. You can't just go
Look at his
bumping off
waistcoat.
made men
Look at
like
that gorgeous design. Matt, you were
Oh,
talking about Paul Sorvino. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
class.
I
He's
love
a
that
legend,
vest.
isn't he?
Yeah.
I love that vest.
Yeah, that vest. That's it. What a great vest.
Sort of right around the time he was on Law and Order too. The first 2 seasons.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
He replaced the original detective, the blonde guy.
He's great in Goodfellas. I remember him
Yeah.
from that.
Look at the storeroom.
they're
God, the
hiding
set
out.
dresser must have been so happy that day. It's like, we want you to dress the storeroom. And he's like, really? Can I?
and just put
Gorgeous.
just put stuff.
Yeah,
just
just put
stuff.
stuff in there.
Stuff
Fantastic.
from the 1930s. Just
He must
stuff
have
from the
gone-
1930s.
He run over.
So you
Let me
mean-
find
so you-
the Buster Crab stuff and runs off into the store.
So you mean I get to go shopping? Yes.
He like
So
gets on
they're
it.
hiding
So
out
right
in
there-
the top of the diner,
Right.
and they find
That's
out that their boss is
Marge.
killed.
What's her name? Marge something or other. Cocaine Bear.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah.
Nice.
She's been in a
Overrated
lot of movies. Go look up her filmography, guys. She's been in a lot of stuff that you know.
Mhm.
You even
Well,
think about her.
she was great on that one season of now I get the Justified, where she
Yep.
was like the
She was
the
the-
drug queen. Or yeah,
the moon was it Moonshine? Moonshine.
yeah, the apple,
yeah.
Moonshine. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up now. I'm like, what was it that she did? Because it was phenomenal.
She was an intimidating character. That whole show,
Mags.
by the way, Justified, if you haven't seen it,
Yeah,
good
it's a
grief,
great
man.
show.
What a great police show.
Yep. And unfortunately,
Now they-
depending on your view, they're making a follow-up show.
Whatever. We still have to get the old ones.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So they decide to call the FBI,
Yeah. That now.
and then
Okay. It's
the
too
mob
much.
shows up.
There we go.
Yep. This is a great scene. Again, these old movies, right? We're in the middle of
Yeah.
this seemingly wholesome Disney picture, and this guy actually threatens a lead character with scorching on a stove. I mean, these are intimidating villains. The
Yeah,
stakes are
right.
going up. It's like, this is tension, people. It's
Right.
so good.
And
It's so
for a
good.
Disney PG-13 movie.
Right.
You're next. Ah,
Now, a modern film would just show him getting face. They did serious outside of his face. Here
Right.
they just,
Yeah, or not. The villains would just never be this threatening. They would just like blow in their faces with alcohol breath, and suddenly the whole scene would evaporate. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's-
and this reminds me of the scene in Terminator, in the biker bar where he throws that guy
Yep.
and he lands on the
Yep.
hot grill in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Or they would have or if they would have gone through with this, they would have stopped there, and you would just hear like a steak searing on a grill and just hear
Yeah.
him screaming.
now this guy, I was having
This guy.
I was like, I've seen this
De
guy
Niro
before.
stunt double?
Yes.
Yeah. He was in The Untouchables.
Mhm.
He was just one of the mob guys that gets killed.
yeah, we've seen
Yeah.
him in stuff like a character here.
So
and there
he
before.
sees the name. and-
Oh no, Jenny Blake. He sees the name.
Yeah.
Oh, Jenny. Oh.
Yep. So he calls the place, and she's like, "Oh yeah,
Right.
she's out with what's his name,
Neville
Oh, thank you for
Sinclair.
letting us know."
And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Mm. Yep. And what
So
are
they-
the
so some of them
mobsters'
leave and they-
motivations? Yeah.
Money.
Why are they leaving? It's because they have a grudge
Money.
with this Neville
Money.
character anyway. So they're going to go to the club and they're going to be like, oh, ho, ho. I see. Maybe you're mixing
Yeah.
with the good guys, and all the tension builds up with the mob too.
Double crossing us.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Great little thread.
So these guys that hold him
floating around.
hostage. I thought this was good.
There's William Sanderson right in there.
This is my brother Daryl.
Yep.
Other brother Daryl.
Right? Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. This almost turns into I Am Spartacus at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to give
He
him up.
sees. Oh look,
Oh,
Hey.
there we go.
it's you. And then
You got to squeeze.
Smack.
Oh.
and they're fighting over the gun, and bang.
Boom.
Now they do a nice thing here, establishing the main character as a single. Like, takes 5 guys, take the one guy out. He solos the other guy. So establish the main character, the guy who can kick butt.
Yeah.
Yep, and that one bullet shot, they actually show it. They didn't just show the gun going off; they show the hole in the ceiling
Yeah.
so that we
Right.
know what's about to happen.
No,
Right.
So I'm not surprised. It's so good.
You're leaking. You're leaking back here.
And he's like, wait. You're leaking like a sieve here.
Yep. Little bit of Hollywood magic right here. Let me just jam this piece of putty in a hole.
So he grabs that gum and there it is.
Great.
Now, I don't know for sure,
Like-
but I mean, just to mention the real world, pressurized alcohol probably should have dissolved through that. But I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
It should.
Probably. Now, given
That's a safe
the
bet.
time frame, it probably wouldn't have been enough time, but yeah.
Right.
I love
Yeah.
this. Oh, stay out of the way. And he's like, what? Ah.
Bah. Right.
Now,
was
that
totally-
bubble gum
a
is
stunt double in that last picture, by the way. That was not.
Yeah, it was very obvious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
Alan, is that you?
You don't.
That next
You
shot's
don't
great.
look
Look at
like
that
yourself.
Jacob you have there. So cool.
Yeah, that one.
Taking off and the dog's head. The flame in the eye.
Yeah, you could
Great.
actually see the flame through the whole building. That's great. That's
Yeah.
practical. It was probably a practical fire, and the Rocketeer going up is an effects shot laid in.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, hello, guns.
Speaking of that, what do you guys think of the effects? Do they hold up today? The practical and effects of the Rocketeer?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I was surprised how good it looks. I was like,
There-
this is really good.
I did find
Mhm.
a couple of shots where you could tell it was a cutout,
Yeah,
but not
sure.
very many.
The daytime stuff is where it really stands out.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
night
absolutely.
it's all pretty good.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a guy with a gun. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And again, I just love these club settings. These are just so beautiful and big and grand, and you get the band in the background, and just absolutely perfect.
At this point, is he really trying to seduce Jennifer Connelly's character? I wasn't sure. Timothy,
I
he
don't-
doesn't know yet, does he? Or does he know
Well,
the connection?
yes, I think he does. I think he
Yeah,
does,
he
though,
does.
because
The
Okay.
answer to that question is who wouldn't want to seduce Jennifer?
Well,
Connelly's
well,
character?
yeah, there you go.
No, but
But yeah, because he heard her talking to Cord about
Right.
About this thing he found. So he hasn't. So he knows who she. So he knows that she's involved with something.
He starts off like manipulating her, but I think he's actually falling for her. As you said, Matt, who wouldn't?
No, he's
Right.
not
acting.
falling for her in the sense of like love, in the sense of lust.
Yes,
wants her.
yeah, that's what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
he
this.
has an insatiable ego.
Puts that message in there, then covers it.
It's a really funny scene, isn't it, Jacob? I love this when he's spilling the soup on purpose. He's like, he's
Right.
really pissed
Yeah,
off. He's not happy.
Oh, sorry. Oops. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ah.
But you're getting
I'm so
soup all
sorry.
over the place, man.
When he fluffs, he readdresses the flowers at one point. It's just,
That's
Yeah.
It's just so pathetic. It's like, okay, guys, this scene's going a little too long. It's like, let's move along, all right? It's those little bits of satire where it gets cartoonish that allows for everything else to work.
You need the levity, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Like open,
So he
barefaced,
pretty much-
shameless.
Yeah.
And
He pretty much
I just
tells
like
her
the-
that you're in danger from the mob and you're in their club.
And I just love the fact that even for 20 years old, she commands the scene. I mean, she commands every scene she's in. She commands every scene she is in, and she holds her own with Dalton, who is at this time a pretty well established Hollywood actor. So
Great
Yeah,
point.
there's,
Look at that look. Look at that face. Wow.
there's an Arsenio Hall interview with Timothy Dalton and the lead guy. I
Billy
keep forgetting
Campbell?
his name. Billy Campbell.
Billy Campbell, right?
And they're talking about Jennifer, right? And they're both kind of dancing around the subject of not talking about her as an object. Remember, this is an interview on TV in '91 when
Oh, yeah.
correctness was very, very real. So they don't want to talk about her lustfully on air, but you could tell these guys are really struggling to keep their
Trying not
mouths
to.
shut about some
Right.
stuff. It's priceless material. It's great. The both of them are just tripping over themselves like teenagers. It's great. And he's a gigantic man on set, for crying out loud. He's like, Chris Evans like size kind of dude, man. He's a big guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he fit. You're talking Dalton?
Yeah.
No, Campbell.
I know
Billy
Campbell's
Campbell.
tall. Yeah, Campbell's a huge. Really tall guy.
Could you
He's a big
imagine
dude.
him
I like
in
how
the
he-
Christopher Reeve position? I mean, seriously, he could be a Superman as well.
Campbell reminds me of Gary Cooper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he does a little bit.
Nice. Mm.
Yeah.
I like how he goes up the laundry chute and comes out in the ladies' bathroom.
Speaking of, by the way, speaking of that scene with where they were just in, that is the only door, and that the one point in this whole film that I felt was a little too contrived was there was a solid steel door on that laundry room. Like it's the only door in the room that was just a huge guy breaking through it effortlessly.
Yeah,
It was
right.
go back to the door. It's like solid reinforced steel. Like why? Why does the laundry room have a solid reinforced steel door?
Yeah, well, the club is owned by the mob. There might be some money laundering going on in there.
Yeah.
Might be.
Good save.
Might be.
Literally,
Wow.
In this whole film, that's the one scene I constantly go, like,
Yeah, but he's with two of the mobsters. Wouldn't they know if
Right.
that was
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Now the reason it's probably
And
supposed
then-
to
and then
build it in had that door. That's probably why it was there. But
Yeah, and then he sets the money on fire as he goes up the chute.
Right. Of course.
Right. That helmet is just so perfect. Why is that helmet so perfect?
the outfit's perfect.
Oh, the entire the entire aesthetic is just
You
absolutely.
look like a hood ornament. That's a great look.
Yeah, it's just
Again,
it's dead on.
again, Tommy guns.
and closing his eyes?
Yep.
The flash, the flash is really bright.
Muzzle
You
flare.
got to close your
Yeah.
It
eyes.
is, isn't it? Yeah, look at that.
He gets cut up in the net.
This too also makes me slightly think of if anybody played L.A. Noire.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of at the end, right? It's the beginning of the 50s. It's the end of the 40s, but there's still a lot of Art Deco.
Yeah.
Yeah, that aesthetic doesn't get
throughout it.
near enough attention. What was the Dave Buscemi thing about Boardwalk Empire?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That time period deserves so much more attention. It's such a fun time period to have anything happen in. I mean, anything. A noir cop
So-
adventure, maybe some swashbuckling, a superhero character. It's just so much fun.
Okay. Did you want to talk?
Now this
noir?
is very suspicious
Sorry.
here. This is very suspicious here. An actor carrying around chloroform.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's a little sus right
Yeah.
there.
On a date.
I
On a
was going
date.
to say, I
On a
thought that
date,
would be a
yeah.
normal thing.
Well, this is. I would say that this is what gave Harvey his inspiration for all his.
I wasn't
exploits.
going to say it.
I was going to.
Now this is one of the clips that you can see
Yeah.
the cutout.
Yeah.
But it happens so fast you really can't.
That's it. Yeah, when it's moving, you don't notice it as much, do you? But yeah.
Yeah. I would
And-
also venture to say
Oh,
that
here we go.
if you watch this on VHS, it's not nearly as noticeable as it is on Blu-ray.
And
That's
then
Oh,
right,
and
Steven.
and-
Yeah.
She
and then
smashed
her
an art deco face
and then
on his
her
head.
line
Oh.
and then her line
Worth every
after
penny.
this, and then her line. I just did a scene with Neville Sinclair
Yep.
because she was acting. She plays. Oh,
Yeah.
Mwah.
She found
R2.
Is that you, R2? I just
Yeah,
realised it's
yeah.
you in the chat, isn't it?
I was told I have to
dear.
be careful what
Oh,
I have to
dear.
say.
oh, man.
Nothing was said about I have to be careful of what I type. So
Right. And I'm not putting it on screen. I'm just not doing
Okay.
it.
Okay. So
Well,
she finds
it's in
his
this-
little secret room here.
The secret.
And
Neville
oh no,
Sinclair.
Uh-oh.
Neville.
it's the bad mark.
Oh my God, it's the Nazis.
Neville
October 15th.
Sinclair is a spy, saboteur, assassin, all of the above.
I just want that shortwave radio really bad. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Right.
that would be cool.
Gorgeous.
Oh.
Yes, right there.
Yeah.
Good heavens, that shelf is pretty cool looking too.
It looked like that was made out of an erector set.
Right?
And I believe I believe now we're at Griffith Observatory. Is this where we're at?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
We're getting
Close to that. We're close there. He's
Yeah,
back
once
at the
again,
diner.
look at how well this helmet works cinematographically. Just you get that vertical edge of the light on his face with that top light really crowning it
Yeah.
off, but the black eyes always show you where he's looking. It's really good. You could really
Yeah, it
see
is.
motivation. It's the line work is really fantastic and peeled right off of the comic book page from the very first issue.
Which-
this is exactly
which they
what he
did-
looked like.
Which early on in The Mandalorian they pulled off pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we won't talk. We won't.
Yeah,
Talk
we
about-
won't talk about that.
Yeah, right. Hiss.
Jesus, man.
So he's back at the diner, and the phone's ringing, and it's
that's
the
right.
mob.
Yeah.
And she tells him where to meet him, and they want the rocket pack.
They want the rocket. The rocket.
I love all these goons.
And-
Give it the rocket. Give us
Yeah.
the rocket. Hand it over.
Hand it over. And then the FBI shows up.
As a guys, you got the worst timing in the world here. Really?
Ah, remember me? Ha ha.
Classic.
And PVV and Howard are just like, oh yeah, Mr. Hughes, if you do this, wow, that's really great. I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, right. Right.
Nerds.
John Locke from Lost.
Yeah, right.
Amazing.
Gay. Eject.
And then they start talking.
Oh, and we
you
have.
know, go on.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Then they go through the propaganda piece.
Brilliant.
Yes, the
I love that art
trigger
style.
warning coming up.
The well animated too.
Yeah,
That's just again
oh, man,
classic.
Think what they
That
could have
style-
done in a sequel to this movie, early after this one, if they had made a sequel. They could have had, him fighting the Nazis with their jetpacks. That would be
Right.
cool.
Yeah, or go straight into the Cold War with it.
The
Why
intent was
not?
to make a trilogy, but obviously, of course, the film didn't. It made a slight profit,
You mean a little, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not as much as they
Yeah.
would have wanted. And honestly, that was Disney's marketing, at the time more than anything that caused the
Yeah.
problem. Plus, like we said earlier, this film was made maybe 5 to 10 years too early.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they're talking
like
about, that this person maybe somewhere well placed in the Hollywood infrastructure. Bing! It's Neville Sinclair. It's Neville Sinclair.
Why do you think this was a disappointment?
He's like, I need to
commercially?
borrow your rocket one more
It
time.
was not marketed very well. Disney. Okay, so we think of Disney as one mega company now, right? This was back
Yeah.
when Disney was buying up
Well, this
bunch
is
of
also
movie studios, and like the Disney brand was like family programming, and the adult stuff would come out under like Touchstone,
Yeah.
for example. Like
Right.
Sleepless
Yeah,
People or
that's
whatever. So
Touchstone and Hollywood.
yeah, so they were intending for this to be a more adult-oriented movie, not like with sex or whatever, but like in terms of not as PG as it was,
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but Disney, like, no, we want this on the Disney brand because we can market toys, blah blah blah. So it was a back and forth between
Right.
the Johnstone and the writers and Disney about certain things. Like I said with the helmet earlier, they wanted the astronaut helmet to do the Commander Cody tie. I'm hoping for the Commander Cody tie-in or whatever. But but it still came together pretty well. But then when they marketed it initially, they didn't market it in a way that the audience even cared about what they were marketing it for. But
Right,
then they tried to
because-
retool the marketing, but it was too late.
Well,
And it
what a
came out
waste.
against like 2 or 3 big films they put on the wrong weekend. came out against two like humongous films at the time.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. It says City
You
Slickers.
see this?
Wow.
See this fella right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country. He was the Vulcan.
Oh yeah, right.
And also,
Vulcan dude.
and also, at this time, like I said earlier, this was peak Eisner era, the regime at Disney, where they were known for their animated feature films. So
Right.
in a time of the Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Aladdin, this a live action film is not going to get the attention that the animated films are. And this plane that Cord escapes on is the model for the Spruce Goose, and all wooden plane that they said would never fly, and it did for like 12 seconds.
Yeah, right.
Right,
And
which is
I
all
love this,
the
too.
Wright brothers
This-
flew, by the way.
The auto gyro in
technically
the
it's not
background.
flying right now; it's gliding. Flying is
Yeah.
actually propelling oneself through there.
Correct.
And I love the auto gyro in the background.
Yeah.
Here.
Yep. Foreshadowing
Yep. He's
done
like,
by
"It will-
experts.
It
Son
will
of a bitch.
fly.
It will fly.
So cool.
And now they're at the observatory here.
Right. Yep. The Griffith Observatory, also made famous by Rebel Without a Cause.
Yes.
Just imagine if the Terminator showed up at this time point instead of 1984.
Right.
Right.
How interesting that would have been.
Sadakana?
I love this.
No,
I love the landing here.
Mhm.
The way he lands. It almost rivals Iron Man,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
And then out comes the mob, and then Cord plays the card. What's it like working with a Nazi? And the mafia's like, wait, what?
So
What?
the reference for this, and there's an actual historical reference to why they did that. Mussolini had taken over Italy in like the 20s, right? And one of the things he did, because Mussolini hated the mafia, was imprison all of them. So obviously the American mafia back then was still more connected with the Sicilian and especially the Sicilian mob, but also the mainlanders. Yeah. And so the American mob hated Mussolini. A lot of Italian Americans at the time hated Mussolini because we honestly were very connected to the mob. It was just the way it was. And so when Hitler allowed Mussolini, the American mafia hated Hitler. Now, I'm not saying that the mob went all patriot. That didn't happen.
No.
But there were no instances of the mob patrolling, the loading docks and whatever to help look for infiltrators and things like that.
Yeah.
So
and this also happened in a crossover with Batman and Captain America when the Red Skull tried to recruit me to join the Third Reich, and he basically said I might be a criminal, but I'm an American criminal.
It was the enemy of my enemy is my friend situation.
Right.
Right.
Sort of, but yeah. It was.
And he hollers
what
in German.
What Mussolini did to the mob, and it's just funny because I have one of my relatives were over there when they liberated Italy. They let the mobsters out. The Italian soldiers let the mobsters out. So in case you guys didn't know that, they're all in prison. And then one of the first things that the Italian soldiers did, who were in the U.S. Army, was liberate the mob. Right. So when they let the mob out, the mob started helping the soldiers hunt down Mussolini and his army. So,
that's great.
And he's laughing. Schnell!
And he hollers something in German.
Right.
And oh no.
Out of
Yazis.
nowhere, like 100 German
right,
stormtroopers come in. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And there's the Zeppelin.
Right.
Which it's not a very good idea to take that into combat.
No, it really isn't.
Though they do nicely say, watch where you're shooting and no one shoots up on purpose. You know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then the FBI shows up again. They always show up at the end.
Right. A little late to the party, but hey.
And he does a little. He goes sledding with a
Indiana Jones style.
A Nazi. He sleds on a Nazi.
Yep, because they're very slippery.
Yeah.
Loses his helmet.
Yeah, and goes over the edge. And more shooting with the eyes closed.
Yes.
I think their eyes are closed because of all the smoke in the air that would be accurate and burning.
Yeah. Because look at all the smoke coming out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
And then we got a mob and then an FBI guy shooting side by side. They stop, look at each other, and keep on shooting.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why that still chokes me up. That whole bit of the mob being like, "Look, man, I'm not working for some 2-bit Nazi. It's like it's just not happening. I may be a criminal, but I'm an American criminal, and that's
right.
It still chokes me up every single time. I don't know why.
I mean,
it's great.
Everybody
so awesome.
in this is a lot of the people in this are like characters, and this guy's the perfect character of a
right.
German special.
That's right.
Whatever it's called.
Right.
It's like an emulation.
Yeah.
I mean, again, very much like the guy from the
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes, very good.
I was gonna say,
where is the rocket?
I feel like everybody was like, God, I hope he throws him out of this blimp.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jen will do it. Jennifer will do it. She's such a darling. She'll get it done for us.
There we go. There's the mobster there.
Yeah.
He's like, do you close your eyes when you shoot? So
yes. Yes. Matter of fact, we both do.
Oh, there's his helmet. Gets his helmet.
Grabs the gun.
Oh, hero.
And
the
then
best shot in the whole movie.
The money shot. The money shot.
Iconic shot. And again, this is of that time period where films and comic books were propaganda as well. So this definitely fits that time frame.
Mm.
Go get him,
Go
kid.
get him, kid. Yeah, and again, the entire message of this film: save the girl. Classic heroism.
And there's the outline again, a little bit there.
Yeah.
But that would hurt.
That would have bifurcated him.
Yeah, that would have
cut you in half. Yeah, you're done. Bye.
I mean, if you want to take the blimp down, you should have cut it open so it starts deflating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just being honestly critical of the writing here.
I was like, there's an alternate take of this where he goes straight into the blimp and kills everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no.
Captain the Captain America style.
Test audience
Will
didn't like that ending.
And the ending was a cover-up. The cover-up is famous actor so-and-so was killed when the Rocketeer went mad.
Right. Yeah, at least the Nazis didn't get the rocket pack.
Right, exactly.
He's like, the wheel won't turn.
And he's like, ha 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 ha. Choose a father.
This is a great part.
Yes.
Has this little tussle with the guy and
the wrench, and he straps himself in, and so he's got that tether cord to him.
Yep. See, this is why this goon is such a great depiction of Nosferatu, because this is what it's like to see Nosferatu using his wrench in the chat. This is exactly what it looks like on screen.
I love the way you were going with that, Steve.
I was waiting for a second, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, got it. Okay, yes.
He doesn't have a wrench.
Nosferatu.
Not in this chat, but in several other chats.
Oh, okay.
Nosferatu
And then
It's like, wait,
He
I'm
has the
looking at
most
it.
wrenches on
Yeah,
YouTube.
actually, R2, you're not too far off. When
Yeah,
you wield a wrench in chat, I would imagine this is what it looks like as well.
Yeah, and I love this part how he
I've seen those chats.
knocks him off and he thinks, I got him. And
I
he
got
turns
him.
back the other way.
That's a great shot,
Like,
Jacob.
Captain
I love
E
this.
obviously is not thinking three-dimensionally.
No.
Yeah. I love this part. The guy in the background's like, we have the best pilot in Germany. It's like, and he
How
goes
good
out
is
the
to
window.
pilot a balloon.
Right.
Well, he's not the best pilot anymore.
To the fatherland.
It's like, you actor.
Actor.
It's like, what? Bang. And there you go.
Oh my God, it's raining Nazis. Can you imagine? Like walking on, just Nazis are dropping off the balloon, and you're like,
Yeah.
In a Tarantino
Nazi.
version of this, several of them would
Yes.
hit the ground.
yeah.
You can,
There'd be
you
like a
can hear
nighttime barbecue, and the Nazi would fall on the grill. And
That's right.
you can hear the news broadcast. Last night, Nazis were falling from the sky.
That's right. Interview with Jimmy Stewart at 6.
they show the report interview someone had a Nazi fall. They see like in their backyard pond, there's a Nazi hanging over it.
That's right.
with-
Well, he
Yeah,
just
dummy
fell.
theater.
He just came right out of the sky.
This Nazi just came falling out of the sky.
Oh my God! And Gable's trying to pick up a girl, then it gets interrupted by a body falling into
Yeah.
his pool. Classic.
It's like for the fatherland. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy goes up
Look
to
at the
try and stop
interior.
him and knocked out. Yeah,
You
the
can see
interior's
that this
great.
takes inspiration because this is the same director that did First Avenger, right? And at the
Yes.
end of First Avenger, Captain America and Red Skull are in a very similar set piece
Yep.
Right.
at the end of the
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
So, paying homage to your own career, always a good move.
And I point out the actress who played what's her face in Captain Winter Soldier visually was very like
You mean
Jennifer Connelly in this.
Mm-hmm. That
Haley-
same, yeah,
Haley?
same.
Haley
Haley,
Atwell.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a couple I feel like even like this shot is from Indiana Jones where Indiana Jones would
Right. Is facing off.
punch a Yahtzee off
girl.
screen and they tumble down some stairs or something.
And then
Right.
And then there's the guy with May.
Yeah,
And there's the guy with Arian. There's
Yeah,
so
with the
there's
gun.
your-
Yeah,
Yep.
very similar scene there.
That is the Ark of
It's
the
like-
Covenant.
Right.
He's like, he's an actor, so he puts
The
on
Rock.
the German. He puts on the German accent. Slide over the rocket.
The rocket.
It says
It
on
was all
Wikipedia the Chicago Reader back in the
And
day
here-
they criticised
here
this
we go.
film for
No.
ripping off the Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that was a problem.
There you go.
John Carter of Mars experienced the same thing too, which is
yeah,
ridiculous because they
Yeah.
were the grandfathers of the other property that they were being accused. So
Right.
And then Cord
So
does.
strange.
And then Cord does. And then Cord is like putting his hand out. It's like, oh, no one's gonna notice this. A little push, smush.
No.
See someone.
I
with
could
that-
tell you for a fact that in the theater, the audience was just like, "Oh yeah, great! Oh my god!" And the audience viscerally
The
got
gun. That's
this,
what the gun
this
was
cover
about.
up. Yep. They totally got it, and it was so gratifying to feel the whole audience get it at
Yeah.
once. It was like
Right.
it's that kind of popcorn. This is what popcorn
Yeah.
theater really means: is the audience is totally on board. The script is in their head, like right at the front of the.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want your audience understanding exactly what's going on. That's the whole point.
Right. It was.
Yeah.
It wasn't lying.
I didn't
Jenny.
get the.
It was acting.
Sorry,
Here comes the big payoff, guys.
yeah.
The big payoff is coming.
it was acting.
Well,
I didn't get
and they-
the what Jenny does to the captain here. She stomps on his foot and pushes him out the window. It's great.
right.
It's a good one.
And it was all a lie. It wasn't a lie, Jenny. It was acting.
It was acting.
Semantics.
Eh.
Super villain. That's
Yeah.
semantics.
Well, that's the PG-13 way of saying I was trying to get in your pants.
Well, yeah,
Right.
that too.
Look at that face. Look at that face.
was-
He's like, oh
right.
no.
Zoinks!
Because that's a flare gun. That's magnesium, and it's gonna burn like crazy on a big bag of gas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have fun storming the
I did kind
castle.
of cut the
wrong movie.
the fight scene a little bit.
Get to the
Nice,
chopper.
Steven.
I'm just trying to keep it lively, kids.
Right. And then he's like, "We'll always have Hollywood," or just some cheesy actor line is that he just.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Cake again.
Boom.
Right.
Hey, Jacob.
And then destroys the land
Did
in
Jacob take
Hollywood.
over again?
And then destroys the
be.
land in Hollywood land.
Well, fake Jacob is wrestling for control and power with real Jacob.
Right.
You know?
Here
We see the fuel. We see
Yep,
the
the
fuel
fuel leaking.
leaking.
There we go. We're back.
We're
As
back.
a
All right.
kid,
Cool.
Yeah.
I felt like when he flies away for like a split moment, like it made me think of Timothy Dalton playing Iron Man.
Ah,
You know, he's,
Yeah.
you know, for the time period, he would have been a good Tony Stark.
he would.
Yes,
have
he
been.
would.
Yep.
Timothy Dalton is a highly underrated actor.
Yeah.
He got hosed over with two of the
There he
worst
is.
James Bond scripts you could ever get.
Yeah.
He'll always be in Flash Gordon in my mind.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that, to
Oh,
me,
yeah.
that's
That
where
is
I
a-
met him for the first
That is
time.
such a horrible film, but God, it's awesome.
I love Flash Gordon.
I love it too, but
Yeah.
it's awful.
Campness is amazing.
And he's in flames.
Look at that shot, Jacob. Look at that. Brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah, they totally
nice
didn't care
capture.
about safety back then.
Yeah.
It's another Nazi falling from the sky. On the Hollywood sign. Oh no.
Now that's almost very
Hollywood.
Tarantino right there. It's like
Yeah, it is.
Hollywood land, and which is a known fact that after the land got destroyed, they just didn't bother putting it back up.
Rebuild
right.
it.
Right.
Right. This is how it happened. This is a true fact here.
Well, yeah, sort of.
And then
And it-
Uther's
and
back
it-
again.
Gets to the roof
The
and
big
they're
goon.
trying to
Yeah, 'cause
escape.
there's- yeah. Well, they're really not trying to escape because there's no escape. They've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It's like they've kind of resigned themselves to their fate, and they're like all of a sudden, big guy like, all right, well, we can run, and then they see the gyro bird coming in, and they're like,
Yep.
gyrocopter, and like, oh shit.
Yep.
So they start
There it
running.
is.
Yep.
And here comes the
this
hero
poor
shot
guy.
of an actual aircraft that really exists that seemingly most people don't even know is a real thing. The gyrocopter,
yeah.
a miracle of engineering.
This guy. Oh.
Right.
He
Oh,
forgot
I,
to take it off. Oh,
I
no.
forgot. I'm
stick
strapped.
around.
Yeah. It's
Oh.
gonna get hot.
My
Let off some steam.
my synthetic face is melting off.
Why have we gone Arnie?
Yeah, what would Arnold Schwarzenegger's line have been when he jumped on the ladder?
That's hot.
Yeah.
It'll be a hot time in the old town tonight.
Feel the
Jack
burn.
Nicholson.
Feel the
Awesome.
burn. Arnold Schwarzenegger says, "Feel the burn."
Yes.
I turned up the heat.
Yeah.
And then beautiful shot there. Beautiful shot.
Yeah, look at that.
Yes.
That is gorgeous. Again, just pulled like right out of a comic book.
Actually, look at it. There's almost like a demonic face in there. Look at the two eyes.
Almost, yeah. really good.
Yeah, man.
There's a nose under it, a kind of a half of a
That's a
mouth,
Balrog.
side of a face.
That's a Balrog.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's a Balrog.
That's what powered the Zeppelins. A bell rock.
Balrogs. The Nazi
Balrog.
harvested Balrogs.
That's right. The
And there's
Nazis
the-
dug far too
There's the
deep.
gyrocopter.
Right.
Again, a great shot. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at the face on the dog. That's a perfect segue.
Oh,
And then,
this is
and then they're reading the paper. Oh, you know, Noah Sinclair died in a tragic
Absolutely
Correct.
fantastic. Yeah.
Flying-
Reading about the cover up.
Flying
What a shame. That was a beautiful car.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a shame. That was a nice car too. That's great.
Look
Oh,
at these two.
look
Good
at those.
grief.
Stop it.
Look, I mean, Jesus, look at that guy's profile and the size of his freaking shoulders. She looks so
Yeah.
tiny, and she's at least 5'9".
Oh, she is.
Lois
She
and
is tiny,
Superman
though.
there.
Right?
Well,
Good
No wonder he's
I
smiling. Look at
referenced
that
Gary
smile on him.
Cooper. Go
Yeah.
back to like Sergeant York, with the lady
yeah.
who played his girlfriend. I mean, Gary Cooper was a huge man, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
So the woman who played his girlfriend, she had to be like. I mean, she's probably like 5'5", like a regular woman. But I mean, next to Gary Cooper, he's like Chewbacca. Not Chewbacca height, but he's Chewbacca height.
Yeah.
Right.
Regular people.
And again, you know, just the look they gave her, that the Rita Hayworth, Audrey Hepburn, all those classic Elizabeth
Yeah.
Taylor that we've alluded to numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
Just classic Hollywood, just that
Yeah.
golden age Hollywood style. Beautifully done.
Yeah. Yeah. I do love these planes. They're such a cool little plane.
You couldn't pay me
Yeah.
to go into one of those
Oh,
things.
I
No way.
wouldn't get in one. I wouldn't get
No.
in one and fly it around, but it's
And
nice
just
to
for
look
the
at.
audience and the panel, this period, this look of this film, because it's the modern age looking backwards and writing a fiction in that time period. This
Mhm.
is referred to as diesel punk, not steampunk. This is
Right.
diesel punk. Everything's
Right.
gas powered, made with aluminum
Yeah.
and brass and sheet metal and stuff like that. So just the look on that plane with those really, really well manufactured parts, but they're still obviously riveted together, and it's all run by gas powered engines and
Yeah.
stuff with an aluminum block. That
Well,
whole look is so charming. It's great.
It is.
I mean, leather and buckles, and but they're not cowboys. It's yeah.
I think it's
Uh,
cooler than steampunk.
Me too. Me too.
Well, and the stickers on there that match the gum wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Man,
I
look
like
at Jennifer
I like
Connelly's
this part here.
posture.
How did it feel strapping on that and going around like a bat out of hell?
Bat out of hell. Closest I've been to heaven.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
The closest.
Well,
Right?
Connelly.
Oh, stop it! Just stop it right there. God. Okay, I'm
And
gonna go.
Loki, the head
Guys,
is
Hands him a
I'll-
bottle of chloroform.
I'll be back. I'll be back in about 15 seconds. Hang on.
Yeah, as Jane Cobb would say, I'll be in my bunk.
And wait, okay, is this the guy that was in the suit, or that's him, isn't it? Is it?
No, I don't know the guy. The guy in the suit he pulls off the little cover.
Yeah, but who is the guy that plays the big giant dude? Somebody said he has a cameo in the end.
Yeah, that was a while ago. He plays one of the Hicks watching the cornfield when he's
Oh,
going.
Hey,
okay.
go for it.
He's the tall guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this guy in the black suit has always intrigued me because does he pull off the
He's
label?
a-
Does he pull off the
Yeah.
sticker? But
It
he
was
always
Dan Aykroyd.
it always feels like a Man in Black. Like this is part of a sequel that we will never know
Yeah,
anything
I was
about,
thinking
and
that,
this is the
yeah.
beginning of it. This is the little earmark.
It looks like an automaton. Just
Yeah, like one of the men
Mhm.
from Fringe, one of the future
Yeah,
men from
right.
Fringe.
Right.
Oh.
That's what it is. He's the guy in the back. They're always in the background.
Yeah, that time period is fantastic. But I think he's the
Yeah.
one who pulls the sticker off.
That
Great
guy
touch.
does.
Okay.
He does. Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, whoa.
Whoa.
Now,
How my
do
name
y'all
is
think?
spelled?
Do y'all think that's the same plane, just repainted a different
No.
color? No.
Brand new plane.
No,
Brand new
that's
plane.
Okay.
well, that scheme right there is the next model from what he was flying.
Oh,
the
okay.
R,
Okay.
I want to say that's the R1R, I think is what it was actually known as.
Right.
So the brand new one.
Yeah.
Top
Yeah.
of the line.
And
Cool.
you would never know it looking at maps of Los Angeles now, but LA was a big airplane community world. Howard Hughes had some of his largest plants here, and both Dodge and Ford and Chevrolet all had aircraft manufacturing plants in the North Valley. So, you know, there's a real deal, and there's some legitimate aircrafts in museums in those locations as well. So LA is an old school flight. This is where, you know, Howard Hughes crashed his plane on Beverly Drive or something like that, for crying out loud.
California used to be an amazing place to live.
You can see
It
here
used
in
to
the
be.
background, there it's an orange grove back here.
Orange
Right.
Grove, right.
Yep. Yeah, most of the valley was like that, and people just kept buying up land, and that's where all of those track homes come from. You know, those big development things that happened in the 60s and 70s.
My great grandpa was a migrant farmer, and he went out. Him and my grandpa and his brother, my grandpa's brother, went all over picking crops.
Strawberries.
Yeah, probably. I hope not. And she's like, I got something for you. It's like,
Actually,
oh no.
Oh, not this again. And then he starts talking. Hey, look at me. Look at. Oh, wait, you're kissing. Hey, look over here. Look at this, guys. If you do this.
Like I said, they were setting up 2 sequels.
Oof.
Yeah.
And
Right.
And then she says the line from the film she was in, and he's like, "Don't mind, and if I do, wouldst thou drink of my lips or something?" And he says, "Don't mind if I do." And then, well, go back. So you don't know. 560. Go to that clip.
I was always waiting for Millie to like come out of the diner and be like, "Get this damn plane out of here!"
All right. So they kiss, and then here you don't see this here, but as they pan out, a couple of the kids they've got like paint cans on their backs going, "I'm the Rocketeer."
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Huh.
Yeah, which he homages in Captain America.
Correct.
Yeah.
We'll just end it right there with the.
Yes.
Yep. This was a time period in Hollywood releases where this kind of film, people were trying to step away from those corny films, and it wasn't enough of a romantic comedy for it to capture that audience. After all, what girls would have gone to see this as like 2 or 3 girlfriends go to see something? They wouldn't have gone for this because they didn't know who this guy was. If that was Brad Pitt in the Rocketeer's role, there would have been like hordes of other customers. You know, it's strange.
Yeah.
It's very well executed, but the marketing is really what crucified it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, you listen to some of those old ad campaigns that they ran on like ABC television, and it's like, if you want a hot time in Hollywood, put your Rocketeer's backpack on, and this sexy lady likes this handsome young man. It's so cornball. It's
Brad
like, what the
Pitt
hell?
wasn't Brad Pitt at that point,
Right.
but I mean, like
Correct.
if they had like Tom Cruise though playing it, it probably would have been a very big difference.
No,
Because
Tom Cruise is 1 foot too short to play this character.
No, I get that, but I'm just
he's
saying though.
not-
But in terms
he's
of star
short.
power of the time,
But-
Now, Tom Selleck, on the other hand,
But this film
that would have
Maybe.
been a nice piece.
Now this film had too much action to be to get lumped as like any type of romantic film, and there was too much romance to have it really as an action film. So it just kind of didn't fit anywhere.
Right. And the wholesomeness was the thing that we're actually enjoying about it, like looking back on it in hindsight. The wholesome part may have done the most damage in 1991 because Hollywood was trying to step away from that. Look at the horror movies that were coming out at that time period. Look at the action films. Everybody was an anti-hero. I mean, characters were becoming edgier and edgier by the second. This guy is like apple pie with ice cream on top.
But then,
it was definitely.
But that would have been an accurate depiction of this story in that time period. This is really just as much a period piece as well.
Yeah, it's a
Tragic.
lot like Sergeant York meets Iron Man almost.
Mm.
I
You know,
know.
it's
Yeah.
cool.
I miss characters like that. And to bring it back to the whole, why David Lynch is such an important director. Like, why are some of these directors so important, like Spielberg and stuff, and Lucas? Is because Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and even the Mummy movies are all going back to these much older tropes, and they're not dragging these tropes kicking and screaming into the limelight. They're showing them respectfully on screen, and the audience is
Right.
eating it up like ice cream, man. It's just this is what we want. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, you watch a movie like this, and you didn't even know you were thirsty for it. You're like,
Mm.
oh my God, this was such a gratifying meal, guys. Why can't we get more of this?
And the Mummy is another one that holds up really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jacob, amazing preparation. I've got to say, thanks for all those the slideshow was fantastic. Don't know how long it took you, but
I was going to say, it's funny that you mentioned too, like, right, them, Disney wanting to make this because of toys, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember those toys, and I had no interest in getting any of them. But just like if they had Indiana Jones toys, I would have felt the same way. But I do remember, like, if they had made a Rocketeer helmet and backpack, I would have wanted that as a kid, because as a kid, we would play Indiana Jones. I remember one year visiting family that lived in Texas, drove down to Mexico, and my dad and then my uncle, for his son, bought us bullwhips. And when we came back, man, we pretended we were Indiana Jones in the forest.
Same.
Hey, the whip, throw me the idol.
Yep.
And I remember, and I remember from my days at the park, the Rocketeer would walk around Tomorrowland, and he would hop up on a bench and make that pose. Mobbed,
Yep.
because it looked so freaking cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And really, I think what Steven just said, you can go back and watch like the 1930s Universal Mummy movies, or the 1960s Hammer Mummy movies, or the Brendan Fraser the Mummy movies, even the bad one with The Rock. And they all are rewatchable and enjoyable. If you go and watch the Gorefest Tom Cruise one, it's not that good, and it's not because it wasn't well put together, but because like it seems like the plot's about getting from one gore scene to the next.
Yeah.
You know? Like what's the mummy gonna do next? Who's she gonna suck the life out of? Who's she gonna kill?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's like these old tropes, these old Universal monster movies, they need to stay, or they should, if audiences are going to really enjoy them, they need to stay within their own troposphere, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
They need to remain semi-wholesome, slightly noir. Don't show too much gore, because that's not what these monsters are about. These monsters are about, the back of your mind, the shadow behind the door.
Well,
that's how
gore films are about. I'm gonna say,
hey, Jacob, I think our guest has to.
Yeah, sorry guys, I got to bounce. It's lunchtime here. Right. So this has been a blast. Right. It's been so much fun. Great to rewatch this movie. Really enjoyed it, and thanks for your presentation, Jacob.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad you could come on again.
Absolutely.
Glad we could get you on again.
Yes, that'd be great. And thanks for rearranging the time. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
It's good to see you, Greg.
Yeah, right, catch you all later.
Nice meeting you.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
But building what Steven said again, it's like the first 3 year of Mummy movies, the horror was about getting to the kill, but then not necessarily the kill itself. In the latest version with the Cruise one and gore films in general, the horror is about the kill and making it look as horrible as possible, with not even bothering on the build up and the atmosphere and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I like gore movies personally, but I know it's a niche thing, But you want a general audience stuff, like it's you want that build up to really be impactful,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to have like someone having your limbs ripped off and stuffed in your gullet and whatever.
I mean, take the scene from the Mummy, the Brendan Fraser Mummy, where the cowboy guy, it doesn't show it, but it does the shadow
In
again.
shadow.
It shows him
Yeah.
in shadow, which is just as effective.
Well, since I brought it up, I'll just so people know what we're talking about. This is Commander Cody for people who've never seen him. No, if I can find it.
Yeah, and while you're looking for that, Matt,
There it is.
there's another
You mean
film
from
that
Star Wars?
there's a film that completely captivated my imagination when it came out, because I was kind of tracking it as it was in development. I was old enough to be like looking at Hollywood that way when it happens. But Jude Law and Gwyneth Paltrow in Sky Captain and The Land of Tomorrow.
I've heard that film.
As clunky and like garage as it was, it's like bona fide entry point into the modern age of filmmaking. Those guys are almost like an Oppenheimer to what we're getting now. Like, they're the reason why the volume is even a thing. But it's so tragic because they're also artists that were creating such a beautiful new technology for if anybody who owns a piece of real estate that just has blank walls, you could do what they did, because that's all they had. They just had a small green space of a volume, and that's it. And they created that whole thing using desktop computers in like 96 or something, 97. So this old retro style affords that too, because you can get away with it a little bit more, because you can't tell if the special effects are lampooning as a tribute or if they're just faulty because of error. It's almost part of the charm that the special effects are a little off.
So I got the web page for you. So what we call it up.
Where's it now?
It's in the share.
Okay, there.
So this is Commander Cody from the serials in the 1930s.
Yeah,
there were two of them back then. Now, I want to highlight one in particular, and think about the movie we just watched and the poses that they were assuming. This looks right out of that image, I mean, just right out of how Jennifer Connelly's character and the Rocketeer character were acting with one another, and where they, the body angles and all that, this was one of the chief inspirations behind the Rocketeer, so to speak, the comic anyway. It's just, I got to watch this again maybe this weekend,
Some fun facts about the comic book creator, this guy, Dave Stevens. He was born in Linwood, California, and then his family, when he was just a young man, like just becoming a teenager, moved down to San Diego. And he used to hang out at a comic book shop called Pacific Comics, which was owned by a publisher who produced Pacific comic books. And after hanging out at this location for quite some time, he started hooking up with some guys, and eventually one of them asked him flat out, if you ever have any ideas for a comic book, we'd be really happy to publish it. So his mentality about Los Angeles and the Commander Cody series was on his mind from when he was a very young man. It comes from his heritage of that period and that area in time. It's like, what superhero would come out of old Hollywood? Well, obviously Commander Cody, because that's really right. He's got the motorcycle jacket. He's got the rocket helmet. He's got the fin on his head. It's American technology meets, bad guys.
Yep.
Howard Hughes in a spacesuit, basically.
Yeah, to me, this is probably one of the top 5 comic book adaptations of all time. About what are there, like 100 of them now, or whatever.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And visually, like, I hadn't watched this movie for about 10 years. So I watched it like this afternoon, and like between Friday night and this afternoon, that's when we rewatched it. And I was like, you just feel good watching this movie. It makes you takes your mind, like your mind relaxes watching this movie in a good way. And that's a whole category of movie in and of itself, like Willow or Superman the movie, or I'm trying to think of other that sort of Sergeant York. Like, even though it's a war movie, you just kind of feel good about it because of the nature of the way they portray it. Guns
of Navarone is like that for me. It's just, classic American cinema, in my opinion. R2, you're being awfully quiet down there. What's going on, young man?
I'm just listening to you guys.
So this is
Yeah.
what he does.
Yeah. I'm
This is what he does.
kind of taking it in. Commando Cody too, I think, got knocked off in Japan by a serial called Prince of Space too.
Oh,
yeah, Prince of Space. I remember that.
I was trying to look up to see if that was what it was, but I think that's the name of it.
Prince of Space was a Tokuitsu.
Yeah, they made fun of it on Mystery Science Theater back in the day.
It's a movie.
Right.
Tokuitsu, was it Toho itself that did, or was it the company that made Gamera? There were 3 companies that made these science fiction films back then. We'll still make them to this day.
Yeah, there were a lot of those guys were mob fronts. You know,
it wasn't the company
that
that
they
did
were really cheap,
yeah.
but I think they were just laundering money through some Hollywood stuff in Japan. There's a lot of earmarks to it in some anime that suggests that the mob was running that whole racket. That making those cheap sci-fi films was actually a racket. And that's why they're so ridiculous.
The Yakuza in Japan is a different. It's not a classical mob. Like up until recently, they were legit. Like you could be in a Yakuza like a club. You know, not that I mean they were mob, but they weren't like if you're in the mob in America from the beginning. It's not. It's a full on criminal organization. You know? Like the Gambino family couldn't also own the Yankees and do organized crime on the side. You know,
right?
Whereas Yakuza, up until a certain point, were allowed to own property and businesses that were legit. And
they were the remnants of the aristocracy of Japan.
Yeah,
I mean, they're the court, the leftover of the court of the imperial kingdom.
Yeah,
right? It's like that's what they are.
So they had legitimate business investments, and they did that crime on the side. And only I want to say it was the 80s, maybe, that they started banning them more and more from owning legitimate stuff to try to break them up. You know, but so they I could well see them having their legitimate businesses in anime and also because they were investment groups like anything else. You know,
right. Yeah, I have an interesting take on Gotcha Man, the actual team, right? You got Tiny, Keop. I'm going to call them by their American names. Please don't hate me.
Okay.
Jason, Mark, Princess.
Tiny, Keop, Princess, Jason, and Mark, right? So Mark is blue. He's the police force, right? Jason is the hitman from the Yakuza. Princess is the red robed priestess that you would normally see in any anime with the white shirt and the red slacks. Keop is one of the islanders in southern Japan, and Tiny represents the farmer, that classic gigantic build, we are Japan, we will feed the nation kind of character. So like that's what that is. It's a pantheon of the elements of Japan's spirit in Battle of the Planets.
Yeah, so for those who don't know their Japanese name, just not criticizing, debate.
I knew I wasn't going to get
there's nothing wrong with that. But those who know the American stuff, the big guy who flew the plane is Ryu. The woman is named Jun. The 2 guys are Ken and Joe, and the kid is Jinpei. So, yeah, and their costumes are actually birds. Like I don't know if it comes across in English, but they are actually birds. An eagle, a vulture, a swan. I don't remember offhand which birds. Well, Tiny or Ryu was an owl. That much because it's the obvious.
It was an owl,
right?
Yeah.
Right. The owl. It was an owl, an eagle, a hawk, a swan, and I think Keop was like a sparrow or something
like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and cool. Okay, and I remember more. Battle of the Planets was the original '70s, the better adaptation. Then they did G-Force adaptation. I want to say I was in high school, so maybe the '80s or '80s, early '90s. And then they did another sort of follow-up adaptation, which actually was pretty decent. It was like a 3-episode direct OAV of that sometime in the last 10 or 15 years. You know, so it's one of the seminal anime. I mean, I know this is not about anime, but like anything of my youth. Anything of my
kind
youth,
we've kind of gone off the rails here.
Yeah, definitely a little off on a tangent there, but yeah.
I'm gonna end it here.
All right.
Well, let's all rate it though. Everyone give it a rating.
Give it a rating. What is your rating, people?
All right, Stephen, go first.
As far as my all-time, it's probably in my top 40. I'm not going to put a placement on it. That's like madness. They're all pretty much the same in my top 40. But as far as historically is concerned, it's a 7 out of 10 at least, as far as like greatest action films you didn't need you needed to see, and then it's definitely in my top 10 adaptations of all time. It's like they just peeled the whole damn thing right off the comic book pages, like Sin City. It's just a miraculous adaptation.
Yeah.
Oh, overall, out of 10, I give it a 6. I mean, it's definitely I definitely would. I would definitely recommend it to watch, but I mean, it's not gonna knock your socks off with great special effects or action. It's a good film, very well acted, and that for me is really the selling point. And like I said, just a basic, good, wholesome story that it doesn't convolute or anything. So 6 out of 10, solid.
So I already said it's a top 5 comic adaptation, top 20 adaptation of all time. In terms of in and of itself, this is one of the few films where I can mentally overlook. Like, there's only one unoverlookable flaw for me. It's that metal door. So it's almost a 9 out of 10 because every other plot hole in it, it's so good and draws you in. Like, why is your neck snapping when he flies or whatever? I don't care because it's an enjoyable movie, And so to me, this is almost a 9 out of 10 in terms of enjoyment.
Wow.
I would give it probably like a 7.5 out of 10. I love it. I think it's just a lot of fun. Period movies in general like this, I think are great. And two of kind of the early 90s with kind of trying to revitalize or make the pulp heroes of the day a thing. I think this is the best one. I think it's better than Dick Tracy. And the Shadow and the Phantom. I'll be honest, I'd probably say that was my second favorite of the bunch. My co-host on my channel loves Dick Tracy. It's not my favorite film, unfortunately, but yeah, like this and The Mummy though, like I feel, just how much, again, that setting, like they feel like an adventure you're going on. I enjoy them. And as much as, it would have been great to have gotten more Rocketeer films at the same time, we got more Mummy films, and I go, I don't like those other Mummy films, and I just watched the first one, and I'm good with that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna probably watch this film again, like in about half an hour after we're done here.
But like, imagine though, like if you saw a drive-in theater that was showing a double feature, and it was the Rocketeer and the '99 Mummy, like,
that'd be great.
God, heck yeah, man! I want to go get tickets to that. Like, imagine what fun that would be.
They were doing some fantastic retro stuff. I mean, this also, between this and the one you just mentioned, we also got the Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas and Anthony Perkins. That's a perfect adaptation. I mean, I haven't heard a single criticism about that movie. Everybody seems to love it. We got another absolute drop-dead gorgeous ingenue entering the scene at a young age, just becoming a superstar overnight because of that movie.
Yeah, it was a sequel to that movie that was completely horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's good. I guess it's good in the sense that there wasn't a sequel to this.
Yeah.
And
Well, don't jinx us.
I mean,
Jacob,
it also
they're trying to make it right now.
They can do whatever they want. It's not going to change my opinion on this one. But it has a good ending where you could take it for more, or it could just be a standalone movie. It's great.
Leave it there, right?
Yeah.
And I would give it 7.5, maybe 8. So,
Wow.
well,
I'm the asshole here
been
tonight.
a great.
Good. I like it.
It's been a great stream, and I'm glad all y'all could
Definitely.
come on.
Yep.
I'm glad Joker Voice
my
and Matt for the first time, and I think
My
RT,
pleasure.
it's your first time too, isn't it?
This is my first time too. Sorry I was late.
Yeah,
No
great.
worries, man.
No, that's
No
all
worries.
right.
Newbies.
Well, let's go around the horn, and what everybody's got coming up. Steven?
Let's see. I might be on with Flaccid Phoenix, part of their premature ejection stream, which is basically a game show testing our knowledge against their silly jokes. And if you don't abide by the rules, you can get ejected. That would be simping, owning any sort of Funko Pops, or singing openly online, all considered to be ejectable material.
I'm out then.
But that's a lot of fun. That's around 8 o'clock West Coast, 9 o'clock. But fun game show, good crowd. That's Monday. I think that's it. And I'm going to be probably roaming to the Empire. I forget what he's doing this week.
I think we're only doing Star Trek episodes.
That's right, Star Trek episodes. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Joker?
I will be on tomorrow with Tim Possible. We will be talking about the current state of Disney Lucasfilm with Mando and the Bad Batch. And then Monday, I've got my last week's news now dropping, my Mando review on Friday, also on Legion Talk Monday, reviewing the season finale of season 2 of Game of Thrones. And then Friday night for Friday night's Royal Rumble, and then the videos that I drop during the week. So
sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. Just doing another thing.
Evil Jacob is trying to take over again.
Yes,
Right, he is.
Take over again. Ugh.
Not gonna lie, I almost thought you were gonna say Tim Pool there for a moment. I was like, oh, that's awesome. You got on Tim Pool.
No. No.
How about you, Matt?
Again, Roman Empire's Thursday show. We'll talk about some Star Trek episodes. I'm reviewing this season of Picard. Just because it seemed, I don't know why I'm doing it. I understand. So I'll be dropping episodes for that. Probably another one tomorrow or the day after. Reviewing Bleach, this current season of Bleach, which is good adaptation. So far so good. And surprised, I've been dropping wrestling reaction videos because I've been interested in pro wrestling again for the first time in years, and those seem to be doing well. My channel I should have put next to my name. It's Unbearable73. And what else? Anything else going on? Well, I just did this show, and
SmackDown was in town in my town last night.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
And last but not least, the droid of all droids, the meme master. This guy, oh my God, in Yada Farm, don't get him started. He is a wizard.
Don't give me any ammo, that's for sure. Right now, my co-host, he is on leave. He's moving from Arizona to Texas at the moment, and during that time, at least for the next 5 weeks, I'm going to be having guest hosts on After the Weekend. This Monday, we're going to be doing Ferris Bueller's Day Off with I've got Nicole from the Used and Abused podcast. And while my co-host is on leave, I will be filling in over on Late Night with Cap, where you're going to have Late Night with R2. So
all right,
I'll be joined by the Rogue Attraction this Wednesday.
Oh, Tom.
Yep,
cool.
Tom.
Great.
So,
well, yeah, I've got.
Hopefully, I won't get lose him any subscribers.
Right. And just keep Tom away from trees.
Yes.
Yeah. Stay away from the trees.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a Tuesday stream coming, and it's North by Northwest.
Nice.
And I think, Stephen, were you going to be on that one?
That's the plan. That's the plan. Still penciling in at this point.
All right.
Someone you might want to invite for that stream would be Magitech Mags.
Yep,
She loves all
she's
that.
going to be on.
That's oh,
Yeah.
well
And
played,
Copa.
sir. Well played.
Copa.
Oh, and Copa's able to
nice.
make
on
it.
too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool deal. Cool deal. Yeah, we did North. What was it? Rear Window. Together.
Yes.
Which is another great Hitchcock movie.
Indeed.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming, and thanks to the chat for hanging with us. And I'm just going to end it. I don't have a out video, so I'm just going to end it. So
Toodles!
Good night.
Bye.